In order to get to the final round, you got to get through the first round. North Metro TV brings you first round section baseball coverage. It's Centennial and Anoka, the 4 and 5 seed here at Centennial. I'm Mike Pete and he is Bill Hupp. And Bill, you and I, we've covered a lot of these games. That first one, always a little exciting and a little nerve-wracking because even though it's double elimination, this is when things get serious.
Yeah, no doubt. This is the postseason now, Mike. This is when it gets exciting, and these two teams know each other very well. And a potential date with the red-hot Blaine Bengals awaits in the section semi. But first, they have to get through this game tonight on this rainy and overcast afternoon.
And here's a look at Centennial's starting pitcher. It's Tommy Meyer.
Yeah, Meyer with great numbers, 3-2 on the season, 30 innings pitched, a sub-1 ERA, 29 strikeouts to 8 walks. He is the ace of this Cougars staff, and he will be relied upon to try to pitch them to victory.
Here is the Anoka lineup. They'll go first as the visitors. It's Jake Nedved at center field, then Hunter Brunner at left, Luke Folstrom at second, Chase Bauer at third, Ryan Tackenhorst at first, Lincoln Reeder at right field, Logan Jager, the catcher, Cam Jensen, the DH, and Griffin Johnson, the shortstop.
Yeah, they lost a lot of people last year, but you know, they still return it. As we look at the Centennial defense, it's Logan Mielke in left, Calvin Coppersmith in center, Jacob Haasfield in right. He was a former basketball player here at Centennial. And then across the infield, DiAgostino, Feder, and the rest as you take a look at the Centennial battery. And it's a good one here for the Cougars here in their home whites.
Well, anytime you have a pitcher with a sub-1 ERA, that's automatically going to up the battery quality. And a reminder, this is double elimination, so nobody goes home today. The winner will move on to the quarterfinals to face Blaine in all likelihood. The loser will go to the elimination side of the bracket. Simply put, Bill, even though no one goes home today, if you win, you give yourself the easier path, because if you lose this first round game, you got to play a whole lot of elimination games to get into the section final.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Here's the first pitch. It's high for ball one.
Yeah, you got to climb back up the loser's side of the bracket as Jake Nedved digs in.
And no pitch clock at the high school level. You probably know that by now. Here comes the 1-0. Down the middle for a strike.
They still work pretty quickly, though, Mike, in my experience. So no pitch clock, but really no pitch clock needed.
Not at this level, no.
Mercifully.
Here's the 1-1 to Nedved. It's this one. It's a fly to left. And making the catch is Centennial for the first out.
Now batting the left fielder, Hunter Brunner.
Yeah, good job there to drift back by there's no left fielder in our lineup that we were given. Two right fielders. We'll say Logan Mielke. It was Logan Mielke who drifted back shy of the warning track, the tall Jacob Haasfield in right field.
I can tell you who this is. It's Hunter Brunner, who's up to the plate after 1 out was recorded. He takes the first pitch outside for ball one.
These two teams met fairly recently, a 4-2 victory for Centennial. They had a couple superstars in that game that went 3 of 4. As that one goes in high and tight. 5 versus 4 matchup here, of course.
Hunter Brunner hitting .274, and Bill, this is going to be interesting. You've got Centennial's ace on the mound, and for Anoka, as Brunner lines it out to short for the second out. Nobody for Anoka hitting above 300. Brunner, the best hitter at .274, so getting some timely hits, getting a string of them, that may be the key for Anoka today.
Yeah, and against a tough pitcher like Tommy Meyer, it might be tough, but in that game, the Cougars out-hit the Tornadoes 13-4. Jaden Anderson. Jaden Anderson was really the star, 3 for 4, double and a triple and an RBI, and then he also pitched excellently, 7 strong innings on the mound. He's playing first base today.
Luke Folstrom took the first pitch for a strike. He's hitting .273. It's this one to left, but it will be out of play.
Good hustle by Mielke, but couldn't get over there quite in time.
No balls, 2 strikes with 2 out here in the top of the first.
Anoka was a team that lost in the section title game last year to Forest Lake 2-0, but they were at home. They were the top seed last year. They lost a bunch of talent to Division I colleges.
Graduation, the great equalizer. Here's the 0-2. This one fouled. And Bill, to your point, I've covered some baseball and softball over the last few years, and it's one of those sports, I feel like soccer and hockey are like this too, where the sections and state brackets can be a little more unpredictable. What you think might happen doesn't always happen according to seeding.
Yeah, well, certainly defense and pitching can be the great equalizer.
Another foul tip. We stay where we are at 0-2.
I mean, and you commit a couple timely errors, or, you know, a blue pip drops in, you know, that's enough to send you home sometimes, which is why it's nice that it's a double elimination. Kind of takes the randomness out of it a little bit.
We'll have time. Now, when you say send them home, do you mean send them to home plate or send them home? I guess it depends on which side of the score you're on.
That's true. No, send them, end their season. How about that?
I couldn't resist in a sport like this. Here comes the 0-2. Grounder. It's a slow one to short. This could be a tough throw, and beating it is Fulstrom. I believe they'll give him credit for an infield single. That looked like a tough play from here.
Yeah, it wasn't super sharply hit, and the shortstop, Caden Coppersmith went on the backhand for it. Actually, that's Ben Feeder. Caden Coppersmith out with an injury today, but Ben Feeder went on the backhand, and he just didn't get it out of his glove in time. But it was going to require a strong throw, and they indeed have awarded a hit.
Chase Bauer at the plate, hitting .222. Runner on first with 2 out. Another thing to keep an eye on, Bill, as we get our first pitch. It's low in the dirt. We've been having some light sprinkles, drizzle, certainly not enough to cause any disruptions, but the field, it's slick out there. We've had this pattern of weather the last couple of days, so that infield dirt is maybe going to be a little slower than usual.
Yeah, that's a great point, Mike.
1-1 the count to Chase Bauer. I was looking at radar. The rain does seem to be breaking up. Hopefully that is the case, but we should be able to get this game in. In the dirt, 2 balls, 1 strike.
And even if it is obviously lightly raining, they'll still play this or try to get it in if it's not lightning and thundering. But it feels like more often than not, when it does rain these days, there is thunderstorms.
Here comes the 2-1. Grounder to second. And the inning will end on a 4-3 ground out. So Anoka strands one. Centennial will get their first turn at the bats in just a moment. We've got lots of coverage coming your way on North Metro TV, including graduations next week. But now Centennial will get their first turn at the bats.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the starting defense and batting order for both teams. As the Cougars, we'll take a look at the Anoka defense to start here. It's Bruner, Nedved, and Reeder left to right. And on the infield, Bauer, Johnson, Fulstrom, and Tackenhorst. I think I said that right. And a battery of Carson Nedland and Logan Yeager.
I believe you did say that right. If not, I'm sure we'll get emails from Anoka.
I was going to say.
There's Carson Nedland.
Parents up. Lefty on the mound in Carson Nedland. And so a lefty-righty matchup today, and he's going to need to be really good for Anoka to have a chance in this one.
And Centennial's lineup, we'll get that to you in a moment.
Luke Fulstrom, incidentally, Fulstrom and Chase Bauer were the 2 pitchers that pitched in the first game between these two in the regular season. Luke Fulstrom allowed an earned run and took the loss, but Bauer allowed 1 run over 5 innings. As we take a look at the Centennial batting order.
Calvin Coppersmith, Nolan Border, Jack DiAgostino will lead off. Clausen a cleanup. Jacob Anderson, Jacob Hosfield behind him. Fedor hitting today with the other Coppersmith, Caden, out due to injury. Then Trip Stensrud and Logan Milkey. So we'll begin with Calvin Coppersmith.
Brother of Caden, who is normally the shortstop for this team, and Calvin Coppersmith, though, is a sophomore, and he had an excellent game against Anoka the first time these two teams met. Calvin Coppersmith 3 for 4, a couple of runs and a stolen base.
First pitch is a foul into the backstop.
Decent little crowd on hand here, considering the weather.
Oh, I don't think a couple of raindrops are going to scare them off. 0-2 the count to Coppersmith. Low, 1-2.
You know, a guy like that, speedy center fielder, he kind of fits the profile. Small guy, gets on base, and makes things happen when he does from that leadoff position.
The 1-2 from Nedland. High, 2-2. Nedland, based on the data we have, Anoka, they have a lot of starting pitchers in their rotation, 36 innings pitched, 2.14 ERA, 28 strikeouts.
Tornadoes just 9-11 coming in, 4-8 in conference play.
This one a pop-up, and actually it carries into right field, but Anoka makes the catch for out number 1. Looked like a pop-up initially from here. Sometimes the depth perception gets you, Bill, when you're right behind home plate.
Yeah, no doubt. There is a bit of a breeze, so that kicked it out into shallow right field where the right fielder Lincoln Reeder came on to make the play.
Here is Nolan Border with his first at bat. 1 out here. First pitch swing, a grounder, caught by the shortstop. This will be another tough play, and the throw off the bag. So an infield single potentially for Border. He's aboard either way.
Heck of an effort by Griffin Johnson going to his right deep in the hole. He tried to make a jump throw, but not nearly in time.
They do award Border a hit.
Yep.
And Bill, just like the first inning, those backhanded grounders to short, those are tougher to field than it appears from here.
Yeah, it was just a nice play to make an effort. Nice effort anyway, but he couldn't make the play.
So D'Agostino has a runner on with 1 out. Fouls off the first pitch.
D'Agostino, just like Haasfield, one of those basketball players who also plays baseball for Centennial.
And something else, Bill, as I had a chance to look at the notes, Centennial, their lineup slightly better when it comes to the average on-base percentage, OPS, as we get a bloop to right center for a base hit. Back-to-back singles, and Centennial has a couple of runners on with 1 out.
Yeah, that was much different. That one was hard hit. Struck pretty well. Nice job going the other way by D'Agostino. And 2 of the first 3 here are aboard for Centennial.
And again, with Centennial having a little more success with the bats compared to Anoka, we'll have to see if that comes into effect. As Ben Clausen. That pitch got away. The throw to third is late. So runners in scoring position.
Excellent read there by D'Agostino and Border, quite frankly. They both read it well, took off, and they were able to make it just ahead of that slap tag.
As you see on the replay, Border able to slide underneath it. He had a little bit of breathing room. That pitch is high, so 2 balls and no strikes to Ben Clausen. Clausen hitting .289, and to the point, Bill, I was trying to make, Border .283, Calvin Coppersmith .386. That could come into play here. We'll see.
We will indeed. Is an opportunity. A couple big boppers coming up here for Centennial in the form of Ben Clausen and Jaden Anderson. The rain ever so slightly falling here in Circle Pines.
The 2-1. Low. No, that was in. I didn't hear the strike call, but that's not the first time.
He's not allowed strike caller.
That's not the first time I've been fooled this week. Section baseball playoffs are underway across the state. That was definitely a strike. Even I could pick that up, but a big one for Anoka. With runners in scoring position, they get that crucial second out.
Good off-speed pitch there, top of the zone. Actually, looked like an off-speed pitch, but it looked like maybe he just blew it by him. So Jaden Anderson, like I said, was the star as he digs in. 3 for 4, a double and a triple and an RBI. And he even was dominant on the mound, too.
Takes the first pitch for a strike.
Part of the first time through the order, you're just trying to see what the umpire's strike zone is, too. Is he calling that low strike? Is he calling that outside strike? What do I have to protect as far as the plate goes?
Absolutely. That first time through the order is almost learning what your opponent does, learning what you need, as we have an 0-2 count to Jaden Anderson. Jaden hitting .250 on the year.
Good power from that right side. Pitches and also plays first base.
Not uncommon at the high school level. 3 pitches, 3 strikes. Anoka gets out of the jam, and we go to the second, still scoreless at Centennial.
When I never graduated from high school, I realized I wanted to go back to school because I didn't want to work these back-breaking jobs the rest of my life. With the help of my father and having my son, that was all the motivation that I needed to come back to school. I felt accomplished, made me feel that I could take on whatever challenges life throws at you.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Two flashes.
What's up, champ? I feel like you get taller every time I see you. Congratulations, Brandon.
Now that is a smart way to shield yourself from the rain, Bill. I think you and I should have brought one of those.
Yeah, well, you know, they don't make them big enough for me anymore.
Or
problem.
me. If they can have someone or a version that would fit a 5'11" figure, then I would be in good shape. Actually, rain is pretty light, so no problem.
Still, that's a cozy kid right there.
Yes, that is a cozy kid. It will be Reeder, Jager, and Jensen. Excuse me, Tackenhorse, Reeder, and Jager due up for Anoka. Jensen would follow if one of those 3 get aboard.
Now this kid's got it right with the maroon batting gloves. Not something you often see.
Well, Anoka does have the maroon as part of their color scheme. As we
Their
get
main
this.
color.
Right, first pitch swing, a drive to right center. Holding up at first is Tackenhorst, and Anoka in one pitch gets the leadoff man aboard.
Yeah, he was going up. You know, he saw how much the the starting pitcher, Tommy Meyer, peppered the strike zone with strikes, and sure enough, he got on top of that fastball and hit it into right center field. Good job hustling over there by the defense, so holding him to a long single, but Anoka's got something cooking here in the second.
Hey, remember what Billy Bean said in Moneyball, get on base. If it's a single, a double, get that man aboard and try to turn it into something. Here's Lincoln Reeder. Showing bunt, lays off, throw to first.
Not a bad idea, trying to catch him off balance, but that is the most wood-looking metal bat, composite bat I've ever seen, I think.
It's definitely not a torpedo bat. Or
No,
is
but,
it?
But it really looks like a wood bat.
It does.
I like it. It's kind of, I suppose it's a gold bat.
Reader looking for a golden at bat here. I'll show myself out.
No, that's good.
1-1 the count. Oh,
Never apologize for a punt around me.
Ted can attest to this with all the games he and I have worked over the years. If there's a reference, I go for it.
You and me both, buddy.
1-1. Reader does get the bunt down, and it's a solid one. He'll take the sacrifice, and Anoka advances Tacken Horse to second. And Bill, do you think with the weather the way it is that going to perhaps put an emphasis on small ball, or was that just something they planned from the get-go?
I think that's just part of how Anoka plays. Impressive bunt, though. That bat was almost perpendicular, straight up and down, and he still managed to get it down right back to the pitcher, and it was just soft enough where it didn't turn into two. Now this kid looks like a baseball player right here.
I would agree. That kid is Logan Jaeger. With a runner on second, takes the first pitch low for ball one.
He's got the tape on the bat handle, tape on the wrists, the protective shin guard, the impressive facial hair for a high school kid. And an opportunity here for Anoka to get the lead.
Strike, 1-1. Jaeger hitting .213 on the season.
His team's starting catcher.
Jaeger does have an on-base percentage of .367.
So he will take his walks.
He's been able to get on base a few times, but he's facing a 1-2 count here after fouling off the last pitch. The 1-2. High. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Good eye to lay off that high fastball. Very tempting up there, especially for a big slugger like Jaeger. If he hits a home run, Mike, is it considered a Jaeger bomb?
Wow. I should have seen that coming. Well, Jaeger does get some distance on this one, but it's a fly ball over to center and caught for out number 2.
Now batting the DH, number 3, Cam Jensen.
Not quite a Jaeger bomb, but
Nope.
that could be a foreboding of things to come.
Yeah, he did get it in the air, got it pretty deep, but ultimately Calvin Coppersmith makes the catch. Lines, that is to the deepest part of the park at 355. Just down the lines, though, just 310, so it is favorable for pull hitters.
Cam Jensen will try to pull a hit in Anoka's direction with Tackenhorst on second, swing and a miss for Jensen.
Impressive stuff here from Tommy Meyer, pitching around that leadoff single.
Jensen hitting .250. Chopper, Meyer scoops it up and flips it to first. So that ends the inning. Anoka leaves one on just like the first, and we go to the bottom of the second, still no score.
Come to Ham Lake and see how good life can be. Conveniently located only 20 miles north of the Twin Cities on Highway 65, yet Ham Lake has kept its rural charm. Residents of Ham Lake enjoy 1-acre minimum lots, giving you space to live with abundant natural green spaces and recreational activities like boating, fishing, golf, disc golf, camping and playgrounds, and tons of seasonal fun all year round. Ham Lake is home to one of the top school districts with consistent high scores in standardized testing and community ratings. Ham Lake is a business-friendly city and willing to work with businesses and developers of all sizes. Whether you are just starting out or looking to grow, Ham Lake has the business opportunities you've been waiting for. Life in Ham Lake moves a little slower, and that's the way we like it. Ham Lake offers space to live, to grow, and space to relax. Come visit Ham Lake and see for yourself what you are missing. Ham Lake is convenient country living.
0-0 into the middle of the second. Hosfield, Fedor, and Stensrud due up for the Cougars. As Bill pointed out, these two only played each other once, which is a little more common in the Northwest Suburban. It is a larger conference. But this is their second and possibly third because, again, double elimination. So you sometimes get a rematch down the road. As we get a look at Nedlin finishing his warm-ups.
Now batting number 22, Jacob Hosfield.
Jacob Hosfield, who had a monster game, ironically, at Anoka in the section semis to lead them to an upset win over Blaine. First time they'd made the section final in, I think, almost 20 years. Eventually lost to these Anoka Tornadoes in the section championship by 6, I think, but he had a monster game to lead them to victory.
And it just highlights the variance that comes from year-to-year matchups. As Hosfield grounds it to short and it's bobbled, Hosfield will get aboard on what will likely be an E6.
That's going to be a tough E6 if they rule it that way, because that took a bad hop.
That's
at the
true.
end. The shortstop was charging, and sure enough, they do award Hosfield with a hit.
This is why you're here, Bill.
Yeah. 4 sets of eyes, or 4 eyes are better than 2.
Well, 4 sets of eyes are better than 2, too.
Yeah, that is true. I only speak in facts.
This is Ben Fedor. He was looking for the sacrifice play, trying to get the bunt down, and bunts it foul for strike 1.
Yeah, it's interesting the amount of bunts and sacrifices in small ball. You know, that's kind of gotten out of fashion in Major League Baseball and certainly the upper levels, but still here you can still see it played that way.
There's the pickoff throw to first. We stay where we are. And that is an interesting contrast because in the era of analytics, I remember having a chat with a late friend of mine who was a big baseball fan. At the pros, everyone's intentionally trying to get a home run ball, it seems, to get a run aboard. Here you do see a lot more small ball.
Yeah, you can't just count on, you can't wait for the big bash because they're just so rare. You know, these kids can certainly slug and hit the ball, but, you know, home runs are just not nearly as prevalent, and the swing changes and all that comes with it.
Fedor with an 0-2 count. Fouls it to the backstop. We stay where we are.
Well, yeah, just a different approach. I've found that too with town ball, Mike. If you like seeing the game played a certain kind of way, that's where you can see it.
Fedor hitting 200, swings and misses. And that is the 3rd strikeout for Anoka's pitcher, Carson Nedlin.
Yeah, Nedlin's gotten some really timely whiffs. He's had traffic on the bases each of the first 2 innings, but that was a high fastball, and he just, once he got ahead after the 2 bunts, he kind of figured advantage pitcher.
So Trip Stensrud gets his first chance. And fouls it. Stensrud the catcher. Again, this is a first-round game, and with Blaine being the 1 seed, the winner will face them.
Blaine playing the 8 seed Coon Rapids this afternoon.
Presuming Blaine wins.
Well, they are playing the 8 seed Coon Rapids, but yeah, it would be a home game for the Bengals if they win. Sets up a potential cat clash in the semis. If the 4 and the 1 seeds advance, the home teams. Like you said, the beauty of section baseball is it can be anybody's game.
Stensrud Fly ball to left and caught for the second out.
Yeah, pretty impressive defense. What I've liked so far,
Now batting the left fielder, Logan.
I did a game earlier this season for North Metro TV, and there was a lot of walks, there were a lot of errors. It wasn't the cleanest played game, but in fairness, it was wet, windy. But so far, the defense has been really solid. And each team's given up a couple hits, but it's been a well-pitched game as well, which is what you'd expect in kind of a must-win for both teams.
Logan Milky takes that first pitch high for ball one, and I've noticed this, Bill, not always, but seemingly over time. This is anecdotal. The pitching, the defense gets better when you get later into the season, into sections and state, which increases the degree of difficulty and increases the value of those timely hits and rallies.
Well, I think part of it, Mike, is that you just get more reps, more practice, more reps, more opportunities, and so you get in a rhythm as a baseball player. And the longer the season goes, the more that happens.
2-0 count, now 2-1 with 2 out. Hosfield still on first.
Yeah, Hosfield had the leadoff single on the tough hop and has remained there. Infield kind of at double play depth. At this point, it would be fielder's choice depth if they can turn it.
That is a good point. You can't get a double play with 2 outs. I'm sure most of you knew that.
That's true. Well, you can try. It's just not, the 4th out's just not going to count.
Outs don't carry over.
Mike, what's going to happen is you're going to do the 1st and 2nd innings, nothing will happen. 6 and 7, nothing will happen. Everything will happen in the 3 middle innings.
Well, something happened. That was strikeout number 4 for Nedlin. So, Bill, I hope you're ready for some things to happen, because we're going to switch things up as we go to the 3rd. Still no score. Pitchers duel so far through the first couple of innings. We'll see what happens in the 3rd as Bill will provide the narrations for us. These two teams trying to break that scoreless tie.
Thank you, Mike. Griffin Johnson, the shortstop, digs in to start the 3rd inning, wearing number 22. Open stance, the colorful bat from the left side. Facing the right-hander, Tommy Meyer. First pitch swinging, he shoots it into right field, and Hosfield, he needed all of that. 6'6" as he reached up and snagged it out of the air. 1 pitch, 1 out here in the top of the 3rd for Centennial.
That 6'6" note, Bill, something that I feel sometimes gets lost in the sauce. Having that frame, giving him that vertical, that reach. If he's a few inches shorter, maybe that's a double.
Yeah, it helped. So that rolls over to the top of the order for center fielder Jake Nedved. He flew out to left field to start tonight's game. Obviously, no lights. It's overcast. And that first pitch misses low. So the count is 1-0 on Nedved. Nedved playing center field. I believe his brother, no, that's Ned Lind, rather. That's on the ground to short. Up with it, over to first, high throw. And Nedved will scamper to second base. So E6 for Centennial opens the door here in the third for Anoka. Just a poor throw by Ben Feeder.
You could see it as soon as Fedor released it.
Yeah, he had time. He didn't seem to like rush it or whatever. And that's a big guy over at first base, so he just sailed it.
Happens to the best of us.
Yep, so the runner stays at second. Well, I was never a shortstop. I was never good enough to play shortstop, so may have happened to you, but I was a pitcher and I like to get on with bunts. So E6 has a runner at second for Hunter Bruner. Bruner lined out to the shortstop. Feeder in his first plate appearance, 0 for 1. He shoots that first one foul down the left field line. 1 on, 1 out here in the Anoka half of the third. Bill Hupp, Mike Peden, the Section 7 Class 4A quarterfinals. 4-5 matchup. Another colorful bat here, the pink bat from the left side. Meyer checks the runner, holds. Now here's the pitch. Over to the outside corner for a strike. Anoka, no runs on 2 hits, no errors. Centennial, no runs, 3 hits, and 1 error. Meyer slowed the pace down with a runner on base. And sure enough, Bruner calls time.
Part of that chess match that evolves when you get a runner on and the pitcher's trying to size up whether to attempt to pick off or focus on the batter.
Here's the pitch. And that's back up the middle. Second baseman slides over to his right, picks it, throws to first. And 4-3 on the putout. On the play,
Second baseman Luke Holstrom.
Nedved advances to third. Nice defense there exhibited by Nolan Border.
Border backing up his pitcher well, but a productive out, and this is where those errors, those extra outs can come into play. Anoka has the go-ahead run 90 feet away.
Indeed it does, and now a little bit of a conversation happening with number 14, Luke Folstrom. Folstrom singled, I believe, the second baseman for Anoka. Folstrom, left-handed hitter. Again with the runner Nedved at third. Meyer's pitch is swung on and hit to second, charging Border. He's got it, throws to first. In time, barely gets the hustling runner coming down the line. So Tommy Meyer pitches around a leadoff error. Tornadoes strand 1, 3.5 in the books here at Centennial. Still scoreless here in this Section 7 playoff game.
Let's sit and chat and drink coffee, and maybe we could see if we could be. Oh, 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 you and me. Let's get together and make believe we'll share our hearts and share our dreams. Now what do you think about you and me? Maybe we can always be romantic, oh, and I think that's alright. Let me dream, oh, a girl can dream, and maybe it's not as crazy as it seems. Me loving you, you loving me right back. And now cut me some slack. Oh, 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 oh.
It's like singing in the rain here with all the umbrellas out. Not raining super hard, though. Certainly not enough to stop this game. Bill Hupp, Mike Peden, scoreless between Centennial and Anoka. The 4 versus the 5 as the top of the order is due up here in the bottom of the third for Centennial. Coppersmith, Border, and D'Agostino. Coppersmith hits it to center field, drifting back to right center field and hauling it in just shy of the warning track. For the out is Jake Nedved. So quickly 1 out in the inning. You can see just camped under it. Not really that close to the warning track, but hey, that's depth perception for you. Here's the pitch. Over the outside corner for a strike. Nolan Border singled and was stranded at third, the second baseman. He's 1 for 1. Nedlin rocks and fires and misses outside.
Bill, the pitchers have really locked in through these first few innings. We've seen
really
them
impressive.
Right, when the runner gets on, it doesn't faze them a bit. Quick innings from these two.
So far, yeah. Blows it by him there for strike 2. Working quickly. Yeah, you don't really need the pitch clock. Third baseman in on the grass, anticipating a possible bunt. Here's the 1-2. It's fouled straight back. Third baseman Jack D'Agostino waits on deck. Border heavily involved last inning with 2 putouts. Kind of playing more up the middle. Going for that high strike, and instead he misses low, and it's 2-2. Here's the 2-2 pitch from Nedlin. And it's fouled off down the right side. First baseman gives it a look and watches it fly out of play.
We really haven't seen that extended at bat where pitcher and batter are in a battle of wits. Maybe this will be our first salvo with Border and Nedlin.
It reminds me of an Anoka story I have. 3-2, and that's hit into shallow left center, coming on Nedved, and the speedy center fielder tracks it down. So 2 up and 2 flyouts here in this bottom of the third. I did a Spring Lake Park Anoka softball game, and I'm not kidding, there were 14 foul balls before the girl worked a walk. It was very impressive. It's a 19 pitch at bat. It was insane. And she just kept fouling it off down the left field line toward the third base coach.
Well, Nedved doesn't have to worry about 14 foul balls with that speed.
No.
It's not a stat you hear of often, but that ultimate zone coverage, I think, is how they describe it in baseball. Having that speed at center allows you to track down some of those tough flies.
Yeah, Nedlin is thankful for Nedved as he makes Jack D'Agostino swing and miss. D'Agostino 1 for 1 today, the third baseman with a single in the first. Count is 1-1 here with 2 out and nobody on here in the bottom of the third for Centennial. Nedlin rocks and fires. He's got 4 strikeouts today. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but 4, I believe. Yep. And some of those have been timely ones, too.
Got a couple of big ones in the first after runners were in scoring position.
Big Ben Clausen waits on deck, also a linebacker on the football team. D'Agostino can't check his swing. He goes around and it's 3-2. Playing D'Agostino basically straight away against the Cougars 3-hitter. Here's Nedlin's payoff pitch. Shot foul near our truck on the right side behind the Anoka dugout. Tell you what, that day that broadcast I referenced earlier, it was like 42 and raining. I felt terrible for our camera operators. Not as bad today, more comfortable in the 60s. That pitch high, DiAgostino works a 2-out walk. That brings up the cleanup hitter, Ben Clausen.
Number 35, Ben Clausen.
Clausen was a strikeout victim in the first inning. And it'll be a lefty matchup here with Jack DiAgostino at first. Probably not a threat to run. Clausen, that open stance from the left side, looks at a called strike.
Now that you get to the second time through the order, Bill, this is where things can start to get a little more interesting. I did a game on Monday where the first 3 innings, Woodbury and Eastridge, were scoreless. It looked like a pitcher's duel, and then the floodgates opened. It got a little crazy.
Speaking of crazy, that was a 30-foot curveball that was blocked rather nicely. Did not allow the runner to advance. 1-1 the count on Ben Clausen. Nedlin sets, here's the pitch. And Clausen pops it down the third base line, giving chase, tracking it, and it's gonna fall in, no foul. They say foul, just barely. Third baseman and left fielder were over there in hot pursuit, Brunner and Bauer.
From that angle,
it looked fair to me.
That is close from that angle.
Close, but they have 3 umps out there.
Right, that angle looked like the ball touched the line, but
yeah,
the umpires say it was foul. I was looking at DiAgostino's numbers. Here is another look. This one should tell the tale. Ooh.
I think that might have been fair, but the home plate umpire was pretty decisive. That one's taken outside to even the count at 2.
On the chalk would be fair, Bill, and from what we saw, I would have leaned toward fair ball, but that wasn't the call.
And nobody asked for a review, so nobody challenged the call or anything. You know. Called strike 3 on Clausen. He can't believe it. 5th strikeout of the game for Nedlin. Ends the 3rd inning. 3 in the books here at Circle Pines. Still scoreless between the 4 and the 5 seeds in Section 7.
Regardless of where you are on your path to retirement, you can still take charge of your financial future today. Visit aceyourretirement.org and answer a few questions from Avo, your friendly digital retirement coach, for free tips, resources, and advice customized for your situation to help you feel confident and prepared for retirement. Retirement looks different for everyone. Make sure you're prepared for your financial future at aceyourretirement.org.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire, and how to control the flames. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Tommy Meyer set to start his 4th inning of work for Centennial. His team tied 0-0 with Anoka in a pitcher's duel. But the heart of the order due up for Anoka here in the visitors' half of the 4th. Bill Hupp, Mike Peden. Meyer, not big strikeout numbers so far. He has let his defense, Mike Peden, do the work behind him.
No strikeouts for Meyer, actually, but
my point exactly.
You could not be more accurate than that, but he hasn't allowed more than 4 batters on in the first 3 innings, and in the 3rd it was an error that got Nedved on base, but Meyer was able to get 2 outs summarily and leave Anoka scoreless. Anoka's been able to get 1 runner on in each inning, but they've left that runner stranded.
The very tall Chase Bauer stands in.
Bill, this is...
He's 0 for 1.
Sorry, I'll get to this story after this pitch.
As he fouls it off. Go ahead, Mike.
Covering baseball, having done a lot of softball recently, switching to baseball, you are sometimes taken aback at how lengthy some of these batters are.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tall kid. Righty-righty matchup here. Here's the 0-1. Outside, 1-1. We said Chase Bauer 0 for 1 today, popped out. Meyer rocks and fires, and the 1-1 breaking ball misses just inside. 2-1.
It is fascinating that Meyer doesn't have a strikeout yet, considering what the zone looked like in that first
And considering
inning.
his numbers, right? 29 walks, or 29 strikeouts versus 8 walks. Sure enough, he has not walked anybody, and he has been around the plate. That's what I was trying to say. 2-2 the count on Bauer. And Meyer rocks and brings the 2-2. Outside, it's 3-2. Watch, he's going to issue his first walk just as I talk about how he hasn't walked anybody. His control's been excellent.
And Meyer, his WHIP, his whip just over 1, so he does quick work when he's on the mound.
The payoff pitch. Inside, and sure enough, he issues his first walk. The broadcaster's jinx strikes again. And
Now batting the first baseman, Ryan Hockencourt.
Chase Bauer gets aboard, so leadoff runner aboard once more. After a 1-2-3 inning had been, no.
It's been 1,
He
2,
has
3,
not had a
4.
1-2-3 quite yet.
No, he's had a 1, 2, 3, 4, which would
almost,
fit his whip.
Yeah, that almost might have hit him. That was close.
It was inside. Either way, he was going to go to first, but
Yeah.
it might have brushed him.
No doubt. Brings up Ryan Tackenhorst, the first baseman. He reached in the first, or to be lead off the second, and then was stranded. Was it an error or was it a
It was a
base
single.
hit? It was a single. Okay.
It was a single. I think
We're
that was
sharing a scorebook
yes.
here, folks. The cat is out of the bag. Tackenhorst, another left-handed hitter.
I think that was the single that I thought was an error. But you had the sharp eyes and pointed out the bad
bounce.
hop.
Yep. Runner goes, throw down to second, and he's going to be out by a mile. What a throw. Beautiful defense there as Tripp Senstrud throws him out with plenty of room to spare.
That was an absolute strike by the catcher, and you said it, Bill. Not much Bauer could do. You put a throw like that right on target. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
I want to give credit where it's due. It wasn't actually Chase Bauer. He'd been lifted for a pinch runner, so the pinch runner gets thrown out. Meanwhile, first strikeout of the game recorded by Meyer as he gets Tackenhorst to go. I'm not even call that upstairs. He went into the attic with that one and swung and missed. So just like that for the Cougars, there's 2 out in the inning.
So Meyer issues his first walk and gets his first strikeout.
Yes,
on
just as we talk
back-to-back
about.
batters.
Yeah, go figure. Go figure. Lincoln Reeder, the right fielder, stands in. He laid down a nice sacrifice bunt. He hits the first pitch swinging into right field for a single. Third hit of the game for the Tornadoes. Each team now with 3 hits on the evening. Another 2-out base runner. But hey, you'd rather have him 2 outs than lead off.
A rally has to start somewhere, and Bill, we'll see if these hitters maybe get a little more aggressive because Meyer is locked in, got a little help with the pickoff at second, but he's not giving up much. You really have to work to get those hits, so you might have to fire away a little more quickly than you planned.
Well, there's a reason this kid has a sub-1 ERA, so he's a very talented pitcher. Catcher up now. He flew out to Coppersmith to start the game. He swings and misses at that low strike, Logan Yeager does. Oh yeah, Jaeger bomb reference. He flew out to left center field. It's all coming back to me now. Runner leads from first. We'll see if he looks to take off. You are not going to see a much more decisive throw out, caught stealing, I should say, than what we saw to begin this inning. Meyer looking to post another 0 on that scoreboard.
I did look it up. Jaeger does not have a home run yet this season. And
does duck out of the way of that one.
Have you ever been in the receiving end of that, Bill, where a pitch is coming and you're like, uh-oh?
As a broadcaster, like, look
or
out.
as a hitter?
I almost hit his bat. Oh yeah, I'm sure I did when I was a kid.
As a broadcaster.
So long ago, though. Well, it'd be a foul ball for a broadcaster. Yeah.
You'd have to miss, and you'd have to really up the velocity to get through this chain link fence.
That's true. I might not be here to tell about it. That one low and outside, so the count runs to 3-1. Runner at first base, 2 out in the Anoka half of the 4th. Each team with 3 hits, Centennial with an error. Jaeger swings and sticks that up in the, you ever seen that, Mike? Stuck up in the,
Can we get a shot of that?
Chain link fence? That's pretty
Jaeger
cool.
really wedged it on top of the backstop.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's a baseball wedgie.
Oh, that's great.
We've got a baseball wedgie. Now that you will never see in the pros.
No. I've seen a broken bat caught in the net, though. That happened at a recent Saints game. Count is full on the catcher Jaeger for Anoka. Meyer holds. Now he comes set. Here's the 3-2. Runner goes. Taken high. Second walk of the inning issued by Tommy Meyer. Pretty rare for him. And that brings up the next batter in the order, number 3, Cam Jensen, the designated hitter. He grounded out softly to the pitcher, Meyer. So now a little traffic. Just when Meyer was set to get through the inning, the 4th cleanly,
and
things have slowed down a little bit.
Anoka sent up a pinch runner, Noah Quam at first, running for Jaeger. As you know, Bill, pitchers and catchers get courtesy runners.
Well, they must trust him. They must have no qualms about it.
Where's that rim shot? I thought you would have that program, Ted, or whoever's running audio in the truck.
Pitch misses outside.
Well, this is a big opportunity, Bill, for Anoka to get a hit here against a man who doesn't give up much in terms of runs or batters on base.
Yeah, and if you're Meyer, you just want to get through this next batter and not have the inning be any more prolonged. You got to find the strike zone again. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Back up the middle. Good sliding play. Step on the bag, second base bag to retire the side. So well played by Fedor to end the inning. And Anoka gets a hit. They strand a couple as we take a look at a mid-game recap from this 0-0 battle. Some good coaching going on there in Centennial, and it's been a pitcher's duel here, Mike Peden.
A pitcher's duel, but you got to give props to both teams' defenses for assisting. We've seen the speedy Nedlin for Anoka out at center. We saw that nice slide by Fedor just a moment ago, and remember, he had that error a couple innings ago, so he makes up for it on the play. That's what good pitchers' duels require. It's not just pitchers mowing down batters for strikeouts. You certainly will take that, but it's all of these assists you get from your defense.
Yeah, and it's really been, it feels like the double play combination of second and short. Anoka going up the middle with a lot of their hits. But ultimately, Carson Nedlin, the man right there, 5 strikeouts on the game. And he's actually outpitched, I would say, Tommy Meyer so far. Meyer's given up three hits through, he scattered 3 hits, we'll say, through the first 4 innings. Nedlin, meanwhile, has scattered 3 hits of his own through the first 3 innings, but he has fanned a lot more Centennial batters.
5 strikeouts to 1.
Yep,
And
couple walks. Nedlin,
2
I
walks
don't
to 1.
believe. Okay, he's issued a walk. So he'll face 5, 6, and 7 due up in the order here for Centennial in their half of the 4th inning. Jaden Anderson, Jacob Hosfield, and Ben Feeder due up here. Jaden Anderson struck out to end the 1st inning. He's got a very fun walk-up song. I like it. Good energy.
I'm still looking at that ball that was wedged to the backstop in the last inning. Is that going to become a monument at Centennial in future years? Because it's not at an easy place to retrieve unless you're a really good climber.
Or you have a really long broom. Want to know the count, and taken outside. Anderson, like we said, went 3 for 4 against the Tornadoes in the regular season matchup at Castle Field. 1-1 the count. Late on that fastball. You know, he's going upstairs, Mike, with a lot of these pitches, a lot of these fastballs. He's throwing that high strike, and Centennial hitters have not been able to catch up with him. Headland ahead 1-2. Here's the pitch, and it's fouled off. So the count remains.
Having that fastball that can whiz by batters is big, because a lot of batters I've talked to, one in college, they say you're just playing a guessing game because you have maybe a quarter of a second to react.
It's deceptive. That one misses outside, so the count runs to 2-2. Yeah, and I mean, Anderson's obviously a big, strong kid, good hitter, but it just speeds your bat up when you can get him looking off speed low and then blow a fastball high. He swings and hits that into short right field, coming on and camping under it, the right fielder. And he makes the catch for out number 1. Lincoln Reeder with the assist, with the put out. So it brings up big Jacob Hosfield, the right fielder. Hosfield 1 for 1 today, led off the second with a single, but couldn't really do anything with it after that, as Headland proceeded to strike out 2 of the next 3 hitters, and ooh, that one went off the mask of the umpire. So hopefully he's okay, and the third base coach, the manager, will allow him a little time.
We take another look at this, and Bill, I was just about to talk about bat speed. In that case, Hosfield looked like he got ahead of a pitch that was a little off speed on the part
and knocked
of
the guy's
Nedlin.
mask off.
That is the one occupational hazard. I had that occur, not to me, but in Monday's section baseball, there was a foul tip that dislodged the umpire's mask.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Back up the middle. Nedlin can't get it. Good pick by the shortstop, but a wide throw to first. E6. The long-legged Jacob Hosfield slides into second with his second reach of the day. Griffin Johnson wishes he had that one back. It actually, this time he charged, took another bad hop right to him, but then he was a little casual with the throw, and it yanked the first baseman off the bag and allowed Hosfield to reach second.
Really tough break for Johnson. I was just going to point out how he recovered from that hop that bit him the first time, and then just maybe rushed it out on that throw to first. Had a little bit of time, but Centennial, they've got a runner on.
And Feeder, first pitch swinging out to center field. Nedved gets his feet set, makes the catch, and then watches Hosfield not advance.
And that is a great way to respond after an error, that extra out. You get the shallow fly, hold that runner, and that's what these two pitchers have been doing. No matter how a runner gets on, they find a way to keep them in check.
Brings up the catcher, Trip Sandstrud. Flew out to the left fielder in his lone plate appearance. A lot of 0 for 1s so far tonight. Just 3 hits for both teams. And now the scoreboard's identical, as we have no runs on 3 hits and an error for Anoka, and no runs on 3 hits and an error, and 1 error for Centennial.
Does that surprise you, considering this is a 4-5 matchup? The two teams had similar records coming in.
That one over the outside corner for a strike. No, I thought this would be a good game, and I'm not surprised that it is. And especially the first game, you're going to throw your best guy because, you know, it's kind of a must-win territory now. So, no, not really, and especially with kind of the weather being a little gross. As Senstrom swings through that one. 1 and 2. I think I maybe would have expected, I'm not sure I would have predicted, you know, the first 4 innings being clean, but, you know, credit to these two teams. They're coming out with laser sharp focus. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swung on and missed. Strikeout number 6 for Carson Hedlund ends the 4th inning. 4 in the books here from Circle Pines. Still scoreless between Centennial and Anoka.
Hate is loud. It gets clicks. It gets attention. Hate, however, is actually quite small. But love. Love is the majority. Love fills our hearts, our lives, our everyday.
An apple core, or potato peels. That leftover pizza you promised you'd eat.
Ew.
Those dirty napkins and paper towels. Stop treating us like garbage. Did you know up to 30% of what you're throwing away could be composted? Composting gives your discards new life, which can be used to improve soil. To learn more about the new organics drop-off programs available throughout the county and get your free starter kit, go to anokacounty.us/organics.
Carson Hedlund has been absolutely brilliant on the mound here for Anoka this afternoon. The lefty recorded 6 strikeouts, and he's really done a nice job. He's had a little bit of traffic on the bases, Mike Peden, but for the most part, he's dotting the corners, and he's finishing each inning with a strikeout too, which is kind of fun. He's getting timely strikeouts, not just the number.
Alec Baldwin once said coffee is for closers, if you remember the line. I guess in this case, strikeouts are for closers, or in Nedlund's case, a starter. But more importantly, Bill, how he has responded after an error or giving up a hit. He gets back to action. He has not allowed a mistake to string into something more, and he's locked in. You can't ask for a better start if you're Anoka, but somebody's got to score.
Eventually, yes, we would like that. Neither one of these pitchers has been fazed by trouble. First pitch swinging. Nice job charging by Border, and he flips to first for the first out of the inning. So 1 pitch, 1 out, and just like he did to start the 3rd, Griffin Johnson is retired. Rolls it over for the top of the order. 3rd at bat now for Jake Nedved.
And another example, Bill, of the great defensive outputs we have seen. Yes, there have been an error here and there, but the infielders, outfielders, they're covering ground well, even in this wet field condition.
Yeah, not a very hard hit ball, but a good job by Border to just play the short hop and then not let it eat him up. Nedved today 0 for 2. He's played some stellar defense out there in center field. He did reach out in there. Here's Myers' pitch, and Nedved fouls it just past the Centennial dugout left side.
And you have to think the hops bounce a little differently with wet grass, wet sand compared to dry conditions. Things are a little more damp, things stick a little more.
Slower, yeah, slows it down certainly. 1-1 the count with 1 out here in the top half of the 5th. Can we play 7 as that one misses? Winner to face the winner of top seed Blaine and number 8 Coon Rapids. Here's the 2-1 pitch from Meyer. Over for a called strike. Seems like the zone has been pretty fair today. And Meyer just lowering that ERA. Came in .93 and it's getting ever lower. Pitch swung on and fouled down the right side. Number 5 Anoka against number 4 Centennial. 2-2 count on the Tornadoes leadoff hitter. Both center fielders batting leadoff here today. Meyer into the wind. Here's the 2-2. Bounced in and the count runs full. Meyer, after a very efficient start, has been a little less efficient here lately. Walked 2 in the last inning. Now he's run the count full on the Tornadoes leadoff hitter. Here's the 3-2 to Nedved. On the ground, hard but foul. So we'll do it again.
And Bill, this hasn't happened a lot yet, but this is something worth watching in the later innings. This is the 3rd time Meyer has faced a 3-ball count of some kind. Had a couple of walks issued in the 4th inning, as you noted, and here he is, 3rd time, 2nd time with a full count.
And 3rd time facing the Anoka order, which can sometimes be tough. 3-2 pitch, called strike 3 over the inside corner. Breaking ball froze him for the 2nd out of the 5th inning.
Those who can master the art of the breaking balls can pull off just that.
Yeah.
Stopping the batter in their tracks.
Could have been a touch inside, but it was called strike 3. Backwards K recorded for Meyer, and that brings up Hunter Bruner, the left fielder. He's lined out and grounded out. First pitch swinging back toward our broadcast booth, but I didn't flinch. Got this chain link fence in front of us.
The only time I've had to move is when I've done games for other stations and have to adjust the webcam because a foul ball dislodges it.
Yeah.
So I got around it by putting a piece of gaffer's tape. And Meyer might want to gaff up that miscue as we have a runner aboard.
Now batting at second base with Luke Holstrom.
Oh yeah, hit off his foot. It kind of deflected over here, and I wasn't sure what happened, but a hit by pitch for Bruner puts the runner aboard. Meyer keeps doing this, getting the first 2 outs, and then he's yet to have a 1-2-3 clean inning as well as he's pitched. So keeps the inning alive for the 3rd hitter in the order, Luke Fulstrom, the 2nd baseman. Singled and also grounded out to end the 3rd inning. Looks at a ball. So 1 on and a couple out here in the 5th. Each team stuck on 3 hits. Base runners lately have been all hit by pitches or walks. Now, when you do this, when you did this Woodbury Eastridge game, was it at Woodbury or Eastridge?
Northwestern.
Oh, was that Northwestern?
Section
okay.
4, they decided in 3A, 4A to have every game at Northwestern to take away home field advantage.
I hear it's a nice stadium.
It has turf, so it can take as much rain as you can give it. But it is a fantastic facility.
How is the press box? That's what I'm really concerned.
There is no press box, Northwestern being a UMAC D3 school, so we have a 2-1 count, but left field more shallow because of the campus layout, so they have a wall similar to the Monsters length, maybe a little shorter because it's only 290 out to left.
Okay. 2-1 pitch from Meyer, bounced in, it's 3-1.
And now we're starting to see Meyer struggle with his location. He was on target.
Another 3-ball count.
Right,
like
this is the second 3-ball count of the inning. He had a couple in the last inning and hasn't been enough to shake him off yet, but something worth watching.
Fulstrom awaits the 3-1 pitch as Meyer works again from the stretch. Here it is. Breaking ball called, strike. To run it full. Pretty confident. You got to have a lot of confidence in your breaking ball, but you can throw it for strikes to throw it in these kind of counts. Runner at first. Meyer comes set. Here's the payoff pitch to Fulstrom. And it's hit to right center field, but Coppersmith is there to make the catch and retire the side. Head to the bottom of the 5th. Still looking for that first run. Scoreless between Anoka and Centennial on North Metro TV.
We in Spring Lake Park believe in building a strong and safe community. Our city moves onward and upward while holding on to our traditions and roots. We maintain a small town feel even though we are nestled next to the big city. We believe in being good neighbors and building community with safe neighborhoods. And we believe in citizenry and promote being active both physically and socially. We in Spring Lake Park love to play and believe in having an abundance of parks, playgrounds, and green space so that everyone can take a moment to enjoy the natural beauty that surrounds us. We believe in educating our children well, so we use the most advanced tools of learning to ensure continued success and bright futures. We promote athletics to keep our children fit and healthy and build a sense of teamwork. We in Spring Lake Park believe in providing a good, stable home for industry and small business to thrive. We have a large variety of successful businesses that have found continued success and benefit from excellent visibility off Highway 65. And a large customer base, as we are located only 15 minutes outside of downtown Minneapolis. Come visit us in Spring Lake Park, and you will see why we believe our city is one of a kind.
Centennial dugout. No rally caps just yet. Still scoreless as we head to the bottom of the 5th. Be the bottom of the order to start things. 9-1 and 2 for Centennial. It was Logan Mielke, just one at bat today for the right fielder, and he struck out to end the 2nd inning. One of 6 strikeouts for Carson Nedland, who fans him, who blows it by him on the first pitch. There have been base runners lately, but it's just been mostly walks and hit by pitch as that one goes out of play on the right side. It's been a couple straight innings of no hits. The last hit for Centennial was Jacob Hosfield to lead off the 2nd. And again, we're in the 5th. The 0-2 pitch, high and outside. Meanwhile, the last hit was by Lincoln Reeder in the 4th for Anoka. And then before that was to lead off the 2nd. So it's been pretty quiet. The pitchers have really settled in here as this duel between Tommy Meyer and Carson Hedlund continues.
Something I want to keep an eye on, Bill, in the later innings. Nedlin has only gone to a 3-ball count once. Meyer's starting to lose that location a bit, and just as I say that.
Of course.
I guess it's my turn for the jinx.
That's right, well, that's right.
So that puts us at 1-1 on the jinx, so next one, the rubber jinx.
The rubber jinx. 3-2 now the count. Here's the wind of the pitch, and it's a safety, kind of a safety hack, and it fouls it off on the right side. Logan Mielke. The rain is still intermittent, but it's very light. The 3-2 pitch. And Mielke can't hold up and check his swing, so he's down on strikes for the 2nd time today. 7th strikeout of the afternoon for Hedlund.
That has been Nedlin's bread and butter, getting Centennial batters to chase.
Yeah, he just tried to kind of down and in pitch, but he knew he didn't hold up. So the leadoff hitter, Calvin Coppersmith, digs in. He's flown out to right field and center field. 0 for 2. Takes a called strike. And Hedlund, one thing he's doing really well too is he's getting the leadoff hitter. He has retired the leadoff man in 4 of the 5 innings so far here as he delivers low. So the count's 1-1.
And why is that a big deal, folks? Getting that leadoff batter out, it takes away a little bit of that momentum.
Well, it just, you can pitch from the windup, and it just, you know, You need 3. You've got 1. There's no one on base. It's simple math. It just makes life a little easier for you. Here's the 2-1 pitch. Coppersmith turns and fouls it toward the third base dugout.
It certainly reduces the degree of difficulty getting that leadoff batter out each inning, because if you give up 1 later, okay, double play ends it, or just a simple out ends it.
Yeah, it just makes things less stressful. Coppersmith connects with that high fastball and fouls it back.
Although I have to think these pitchers have seen their share of gains, but as you keep going on and on in this pitcher's duel that remains scoreless, I wonder if that gets a little more stressful knowing you have less room for error.
Yeah, I mean, when you know you got to go pitch for pitch with your opponent. Coppersmith grounds it. Third baseman cuts in front of the shortstop and can't come up with it. Bauer could have had it, but couldn't come up with it. We'll see if they give him an error or a hit.
They rule it a hit. I see what happened. Anoka's third baseman tried to glove it. Bauer just missed. It initially looked like they collided, but Bauer just couldn't get in front of it.
Well, he cut off the shortstop, and it would have been a harder play. I don't know. I don't know in that instance if he should have left it for the shortstop or not. But Griffin Johnson, as it stands, the runner is aboard. Coppersmith, and you know he's a threat to steal. Sure enough, they check on him at first. Nolan Border, the second baseman, stands in. He's 1 for 2. Singleton also flown out to the center fielder Headland. And oh boy, they thought they had him picked off. Somehow Coppersmith dove back. Wow, that was close.
The throw was certainly in time, and Calvin just lunged underneath enough. He has 12 stolen bases, I should say. He leads the team by far, and that's why Nedlin has been keeping an eye on him.
Yeah, 3 straight pickoff moves. Harder to run against a lefty, there's no doubt. Yeager getting ready to throw it. Sure enough, there he goes. Yeager inside pitch, throw down to second, not even close. He skipped it in there. And Coppersmith, Calvin Coppersmith, swipes base number 13 this season. Got a great jump, face full of dirt, but he got it in there. So now an opportunity here for Nolan Border, with Calvin Coppersmith leading from second in a scoreless game.
And given the flow of this one, Bill, that could be a huge steal for Coppersmith.
We're in the 5th. And it's popped up on the right side. First baseman over giving a look, and he makes, whoa.
It was a drop and a foul.
Well,
didn't glove it.
No, but the home plate umpire says it's out.
Okay.
So he's saying he caught it and then he dropped it on the transfer, and there's not really much argument from the Centennial coaches. So Border pops out to the first baseman. Sure enough, yeah.
Well, you don't see that often.
No, but I can see where the call was made. Jack DiAgostino, he's reached twice today, a walk and also a single. And they're going to intentionally walk it. So that brings up Ben Clausen now. Middle linebacker the last 3 years for this Centennial, powerhouse Centennial football team. Did you have a chance to see Centennial the last couple of years?
Once or twice.
I feel like you did a game or two. Clausen was a mainstay for that defense. First pitch swinging into center field. Nedved up with it. Throwing home. The throw beats the runner, and he's tagged out well shy of the plate. A frozen rope from Nedved guns down the runner at home. And after 5 innings of play here in Circle Pines, we remain scoreless in this 4-5 matchup. What a throw, what a play.
I couldn't say it better myself.
The one bouncer, not even close, and Yeager applies the tag. Go to the 6th. Scoreless here between Anoka and Centennial.
North Metro TV, your source for great local programming, is now available on Apple TV and Roku devices. Our free app allows you to stream all of our channels live. You'll also have access to an on-demand library, including weekly newscasts, sporting events, and city meetings. To find us, go to the App Store and search North Metro TV. Then sit back and enjoy all of your favorite local content. North Metro TV, now available on Apple TV and Roku.
A dramatic 8-1 assist, or 8-2, I should say, as Nedved to Jaeger, and Calvin Coppersmith was a dead duck, well shy of home plate. What a play by the Anoka Tornadoes defense, and now it's their turn to bat here in the 6th inning. Take you the rest of the way, here's Mike Peden.
Chase Bauer, Tackenhorst, and Reeder due up for Anoka. And Bill, you and I were talking about that last play. If Calvin should have gone for home, it was a shallow bloop to center as we get a foul.
Yeah, I
Strike
mean, you're
one.
trying to play for that run, and you're not getting many hits. I don't blame him for sending him, and it's your fastest player, but just with how much he was thrown out, I mean, just tip of the cap to Nedved for making that play.
And that's the other part of the equation. We sometimes don't talk about this enough. If that throw is offline, we don't have this conversation.
Right, and so you force him to make a play. He makes a play. It's kind of a looping throw. It wasn't exactly a rocket ship, but it arrived in plenty of time. And
Bauer fouls this one to left and out of play. 1-2 the count.
Bauer put a charge into that one. Like you said, he's a tall third baseman. He and D'Agostino. But, yeah, Anoka, like we said, have not had a hit. They've only had 2 hits since the 2nd inning. So even though they've had a few base runners with walks and hit by pitches, they're looking to get their offense going here.
Anoka hasn't recorded a hit in some time, and they won't there as Bauer strikes out. His first strikeout and the 3rd for Lincoln Meyer.
Lincoln Meyer, great pitch there on the breaking ball, and Bauer chased it. Just no chance on that pitch falling away. How about the pitching job that Centennial has done against Anoka through the 7 innings of the first meeting and the 5 innings. So they basically, through 12 1/3 innings here this year, Mike, they've allowed a total of 7 hits and just 2 runs.
That math tends to work in your favor as Tackenhorst has a 1-1 count. Took a ball in the first pitch and fouled that one. Tackenhorst has one of the 3 hits for Anoka, 1 for 2.
Some Centennial players getting their cuts in the cage behind their dugout. It's really throwing me off with all those pinging metal bat sounds.
Here comes the 1-1. Fouled again, 1-2. These two teams, one way or another, able to get runners on, but Centennial through 5 innings, Bill. They've stranded 6. Anoka has also stranded 6.
Yeah, I would say the RISP, runners and hitting with runners in scoring position numbers, not too impressive so far.
1-2. Got him.
Clausen thought he had driven in a run. He'd certainly put his team in position with that single up the middle, but credit to defensive Anoka and Jake Nedved for negating that. Meanwhile, Meyer has fanned the first 2 hitters of this 6th inning.
And I was talking about him possibly struggling with location, maybe losing his edge, and here he is with back-to-back strikeouts. Will look to retired the side here with Lincoln Reeder, something he hasn't done in this game. Reeder lays off, ball one. Reeder 1 for 1, sacrifice in the second and singled in the fourth. The last hit Anoka has recorded. Grounded to short. The throw is high and not down in time. That is the second time where the shortstop, Bill, Feeder has overthrown first. And Anoka has a runner on.
Yeah, he's just sailing it, and that one goes into the path of the runner, and he nearly tagged him on the backhand, but I think it was the right call. I think he did miss him. So Centennial should be out of this inning, Mike, but they're not because of the second E6 of the day.
Catcher Logan Jaeger.
And in credit, Feeder is, you know, normally they'd have Caden Coppersmith in, the senior. But because of injury, Feeder's having to play, and he's fielding the balls, the ground balls, perfectly fine. It's the throws that he's struggling with.
So an extra out for Anoka. Jaeger takes a strike. Jaeger 0 for 1, walked his last time up.
I don't think I've ever seen Logan spelled that way.
I've seen a lot of Logans, but he's the first with an E. Is an 0-2 count.
In his name, not on the score sheet, to be clear.
Yes.
I kind of felt bad for Calvin Coppersmith because Logan Jaeger, in his efforts to sort of make sure that Coppersmith didn't even reach home plate, kind of came out and sat on him. The diminutive center fielder for Centennial.
Here comes the 0-2. Fastball, but outside, 1-2.
Tried to get him to chase, thought he might go upstairs with it, but no chase from the Tornadoes catcher. I think the rain is finally officially moved out.
Jaeger the 1-2. Meyer taking his time. Runner goes. The throw offline, and Anoka with their first stolen base today as Reeder advances to second.
Yeah, they I think a good time to run. A good throw might have gotten him, but it was toward the third base side of things. Third base side of second base.
Goes back to what we were saying, Bill. If your throws are on, you can get guys out. It sometimes really comes down to accuracy.
Well, the first throw he had was really accurate. He threw out a runner with ease.
Jaeger lays off that one too, and it's a full count.
Home plate umpire thought about it. Fans wanted it, but ultimately runs full.
Fans want it one way, but the umpire sees it his way, if you know what I mean. The out pitch coming up. Meyer looking back at second where Reeder is. In the dirt, Reeder will go to third on the wild pitch.
And that's a walk for Jaeger, so a little bit of wildness from Meyer, maybe feeling things. Again, he gets the first 2 outs in the inning, then an error keeps it alive, and all of a sudden you've got runners at the corners with Anoka threatening here in the 6th.
Jaeger the catcher, so he'll get a courtesy runner, but we have a mound visit. Bill, I was talking about this in the last inning. Meyer was able to bounce back after struggling a bit with his location. The E6, that's not on him, of course, but he had Jaeger down in the count, and then a wild pitch. You've got runners at the corners, and in a game where runs are at a premium, the first team who scores might be all that you need to win it.
Yeah, you had him down 0-2, so disappointing to lose him. And now you've got a long conversation about strategy and tactics here with the runners at first and third. I think here you got to trust Meyer that he's going to be able to keep him off the scoreboard.
Meyer's done it before, and Quam, again, the courtesy runner for Jaeger.
And this is the bottom of the order for Anoka, so You're not having to face their big boppers. But obviously a critical moment in this game here in the late innings.
The person they're sending up, Jensen, who is batting, hitting .250, but no extra base hits. Jensen doesn't need one to get Anoka in front, but we'll see what happens here with 2 out. Runners at the corners. First pitch swing, it's a grounder to short. Fedor will flip it to second, and Meyer bounces back again. He bends but doesn't break. We go to the bottom 6, still scoreless.
Come to Ham Lake and see how good life can be. Conveniently located only 20 miles north of the Twin Cities on Highway 65, yet Ham Lake has kept its rural charm. Residents of Ham Lake enjoy 1-acre minimum lots, giving you space to live with abundant natural green spaces and recreational activities like boating, fishing, golf, disc golf, camping and playgrounds, and tons of seasonal fun all year round. Ham Lake is home to one of the top school districts with consistent high scores in standardized testing and community ratings. Ham Lake is a business-friendly city and willing to work with businesses and developers of all sizes. Whether you are just starting out or looking to grow, Ham Lake has the business opportunities you've been waiting for. Life in Ham Lake moves a little slower, and that's the way we like it. Ham Lake offers space to live, to grow, and space to relax. Come visit Ham Lake and see for yourself what you are missing. Ham Lake is convenient country living.
Middle of the 6th. Someone's got to break through. We just don't know who in this 4 versus 5. Anderson, Hosfield, and Fedor due up for the Cougars in the bottom half of the 6th. Nedlin still out there. 7 strikeouts, looking pretty spry today as he throws a strike on Anderson. Anderson 0 for 2.
That's one way to put it. He has just been lights out. 1 walk, 7 strikeouts.
Rain picking up a little bit, 0-2 the count. It has been consistently drizzling, nothing harsh enough to disrupt play.
Every time I put the umbrella away, I have to bring it right back out.
Anderson fouls that one. It does not get wedged into the backstop. We stay where we are at 0-2. Well, Bill, I guess you have the 2-1 lead in announcer jinxes.
Yeah, I said the rain was moving out. Clearly it is here to stay. Sorry about that.
I don't think it'll last long. In the dirt, 1-2. And remember, nobody goes home today. This is double elimination. The winner will play the winner of the Blaine-Coon Rapids game. We expect it will be Blaine. The loser will have to play their way out of the elimination bracket. 2-2 the count, and Anoka didn't like that call.
What a season for Blaine. How about them? 18-2. Won the conference with 12-1 record.
They'll be a tough out in Section 7. Here's the 2-2. Inside, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeager just telling his pitcher to center, get back to throwing to the glove. What, just the 4th or I think 5th? Maybe the 4th. 3-ball count today.
Just the 2nd for Nedlin. We stay where we are as Anderson taps it foul. Officially 1 walk charged to Nedlin. D'Agostino was intentionally walked in the last inning. Strike 3. Anderson
did not like
froze.
it. No, he didn't like it. He kind of gave the home plate umpire a quick glance. But yeah, he's been calling that inside strike today. We'll see how tight this is. Oh, it's close. It's close. I understand his frustration.
It's close. It didn't look too far off.
Yeah, it wasn't egregious.
That gray area, as that is a strike on Hosfield. Hosfield 1 for 2, singled and then reached on an E6 in the 4th.
He's been about as far as anyone on the bases for Centennial.
This one a bloop and caught. Centennial thought they had a hit, but instead Nedved delivers a web gem and he gives the peace sign.
Jake Nedved. Peace sign or 2 outs? I think he was saying 2 outs, but you see the hair flopping. He almost overran it, but a nice sliding catch made by Nedved. And he's not only got that play, he's got tracked a couple other balls down, and he had the 8-2 put out to end the 5th inning. So defensive star of the game right now, center fielder Jake Nedved.
You're probably right about the 2-out signal, although after a catch like that, I probably would flash a peace sign myself.
Yeah.
Maybe he got both out of the way at the same time.
Well, it works both ways, right? He wants peace, and there's 2 outs.
That sounds like me. There he is.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to leave both in at once.
Appropriate amount of swag, too. 8 versus 8 right here. But again, you know, once again, Nedland working with the bases empty and 2 out.
Centennial sending in Cooper Sanders for feeder. And he's down on 3 pitches as they get the throw to first. So our first 1-2-3 inning of the entire game. And it's Nedland who gets it, adding 2 more strikeouts. He's got 9, but that won't matter if Anoka can't get a run on the board. They'll try to when we come back.
Share new perspectives with North Metro TV. Capture breathtaking cinematic images. Business exteriors, scenic landscapes, sporting events, or community images. With a professional videographer at the controls, North Metro TV will tailor a package for your budget. For high-quality photo and video aerials, contact North Metro TV.
We start the 7th. Meyer on the mound, and Anoka sending a pinch hitter. It's number 5. I'm looking at the roster, don't see a 5 right offhand. We'll try to track it down and take 5, so to speak, to figure out who number 5 is. Swing and a miss for strike 1. But pinch hitter in for Johnson. Outside, but in the zone. 0-2 the count. Meyer fouled down right field. We stay where we are at 0-2. Anoka stranding 8 runners through 6 innings. Again, both teams have been able to get runners on, but they can't string enough hits or enough plays together to bring one in. 0-2. high. 1 and 2.
Very close. Yeah, Mike, it's but the thing is with those stranded runners, I can't remember too many that have even reached third base. It's been like only a couple that have even reached third base in this game.
Anoka has sent runners to third just twice as we stay at 1 and 2. Including the 6th when Reeder got to third on a wild pitch, but ultimately left there on the ground up by Jensen.
There is activity in the Centennial bullpen, a righty warming up.
Here is another foul, and it will go out of play.
This pinch hitter doing a nice job staying alive, fouling off those high fastballs.
Again, trying to figure out who number 5 is.
I asked some fans, they were Centennial fans.
Well, and sometimes batters will have a different number in the lineup and then bring a different jersey for whatever reason. 1 and 2 the count, low, 2 and 2.
Good at bat, though, coming off the bench cold, battling Meyer.
Both teams eager to get one in. The 2-2. This one hit into left center. And Anoka gets the leadoff man aboard.
Great piece of hitting, great at bat, 2-2 pitch, and he ropes it into left center field. Coppersmith can't get over in time. Good job holding him to just a single, lifted for a pinch runner here.
And that will be Johnson.
Okay.
So Johnson re-enters the game. You do get one re-entry, but that was just a nice hard hit for the pinch hitter, number 5. Maybe we'll, if during the
Someday
changeover,
he'll get credit.
Well, maybe we have to trot over to the Anoka dugout
yeah.
to figure out who number 5 is.
4th hit of the game for the Tornadoes, and their first since, just their second since the second inning, top of the second inning.
Nedved will try to add to it. He is 0 for 3, reached on an error in the 3rd.
Another guy with speed here.
Lays off the bunt, but Johnson nearly overran first, gets back safely. That's the last thing you want, Bill, a base running miscue in a game where whoever gets this first run may end up winning it. It has been really difficult to string hits and bring in guys. This has been a low-scoring series going back to the regular season meeting.
Well, I dare say that hit without having an exit velo, that was the hardest hit ball we've seen all day, I think.
One of the hardest, if not the hardest.
Now you've got Nedved squaring to bunt, drawing the third baseman in D'Agostino, who's crashing, and maybe getting ahead of Meyer. He falls behind 2-0.
D'Agostino playing up, anticipating that bunt. Rest of the infield playing more standard depth. That bunt is popped, and all the way. Yeah, that bunt had some hops to it. Usually
Yeah.
don't see a bunt go over the backstop like that, but it's all about location, Bill. You can tell the difference between a good bunt and a not so great bunt pretty clearly.
Hard to bunt a high pitch like that.
2-1 the count. 3-1. As D'Agostino again ready to field it, but now Nedved. Nedved and Nedlund, I suppose the two CTV broadcasters have been tripped up by that too. That's a shout out to the folks up in Anoka in that area. 3-1 to Nedved. Will he bunt? Lays it down.
And it's a good one. It's a beautiful bunt.
No play to be had. D'Agostino crashing from the left. Nedved places it perfectly on the right.
Yeah, sorry, I just got so excited with that gorgeous bunt down the first base line. He deadened it perfectly, and then the speed, and he just placed it, you know, it kind of rolled to a stop, and he was almost to first before Myers had picked it up. And now might be it for the Centennial ace here with 2 on and nobody out.
Nedved, only 4 stolen bases on the season, but you saw him fly on that replay, even in slow motion. It looked like he was zooming.
Fielder. He's a speedy center fielder. And so, you know, that was one of those things where it's like, is he bunting for a sacrifice or is he bunting for a hit or both? And sure enough, he was successful getting aboard. And now you've got two pretty athletic, speedy runners on the bases, nobody out. And more importantly for Anoka, the heart of the order coming up, 2, 3, 4, due up next for the Tornadoes. They're going to leave Meyer in.
I'd say, Bill, that was a situation where you would have accepted either outcome as long as you advanced the runner.
Right.
Because you had nobody out, so a perfect time to make the sacrifice play, but no one better to do it than the speedster that is Nedved, because as we saw, you put it in the right spot, you get an infield hit. So runners on first and second for Bruner, who was hit by a pitch in his last inning, his last appearance, I should say. Meyer.
And Bruner had turned to square as well with, again, D'Agostino crashing in from third. So they're clearly not trying to get the lead runner. They're just trying to get an out.
First time Anoka has recorded more than 1 hit in an inning with the standard single and then the bunt single. And now Bruner scoring up for a possible bunt. He calls time. Meyer looking over at second. That speed you were talking about really making him think.
Real cat and mouse. Both corners seem to be crashing in. They haven't given them credit on the scoreboard. They should have 5 hits up there now.
Bruner bunts it foul.
I wonder how much Bruner is used to bunting. No doubt they practice it, but this is the kid who's second in the order, so one of the better hitters in Anoka's lineup.
He has the highest average coming in at 274. But this is an Anoka team that doesn't hit for too many extra bases. No homers on the year. That bunt also foul, and now with an 0-2 count, that takes away the bunt option unless you want to risk a strikeout.
Yeah, he's kind of stabbing at it. Doesn't look real comfortable. Nedved looked like a kid who had bunted a lot and was good at it. This, maybe not so much, and I understand trying to play small ball, but I think you can trust I would let my 2-hitters swing away and try to at least make a productive out. Kind of taking the bat out of his hands, asking him to bunt.
And I'll follow up on that. Well, I will now because we have time called. The quickness, the agility of Johnson and Nedved, to me, further illustrate that point, because if you hit a grounder or a fly ball, if something really chaotic happens, those two can get back in a hurry. It lessens the risk of a double play in that regard. Looks like Bruner is now going to swing away here with a no, he'll bunt again.
And if he bunts this foul, which I think he will.
That's it.
Sure enough. And then you don't move the runners, you don't put the ball in play. 3 straight bunted balls foul, and a huge out recorded for Centennial. And I wanted to make sure I got it on record that I thought he was gonna, because he just didn't look comfortable. And that time the pitch was a little more up, and so he wasn't able to get on top of it, and he bunted it straight back. It's just a tough thing to ask a kid to do. And I just wonder if you'd be better off letting him swing away and trying to drive one.
Here's Fulstrom, who is 1 for 3, singled back in the first. Chopper, this could be a double play ball. The throw to second. First, not in time. So Fulstrom advances on the fielder's choice, reaches first, I should say. Johnson advances to third, and Anoka has the go-ahead run 90 feet away.
Good stretch by Anderson at first. It was a tailor-made 4-6-3. Kind of a glove flip. I'm not sure it would have been in time anyway, even if a good throw had been made, but Centennial just an out away from getting out of this inning.
And it goes back to having Bruner try to bunt. If he hits a chopper like that, okay, maybe you would have had an extra out to work with.
Yeah,
and
you'd have a runner at third. You'd have runners at the corners with just one out.
Of course, that's butterfly effect. Who knows what would have happened? I can't simulate that at bat, but Chase Bauer will try to bring Anoka a run. He is 0 for 2, walked in the 4th, and then was caught stealing on a great strike to second. Bauer fouls it down the third base side for strike 1. The lengthy Chase Bauer. They don't always list heights on the lineups for baseball compared to basketball or football, but I think Chase easily breaks 6 feet.
Oh, he's a good 6'4", 6'5". Big at bat here. Needless to say, Tommy Meyer has been gritty, and he would love to get through 7 scoreless and hand this over to his teammates to try to get one here across in the bottom of the 7th.
Meyer has had adversity before, pitches that one high, 1 ball, 1 strike. He had runners at the corners last inning, and Meyer was able to get the ground out to put an end to it.
Well, he's stranded, I believe now, 8 Anoka runners.
8 through 6.
So it's not been the cleanest pitch game, but hey, he keeps putting up goose eggs. Oh boy, that was close. And could have been. Could have been.
I'm laughing because I was thinking that was in the zone, but the umpire says no.
Now the advantage goes to Bauer at 2-1.
Anoka, again, they don't hit for much power, but they don't need it. So the home run ball probably not among your first choices in this equation.
Just need a base hit right here. Oh, close and missed again. So 3-1 now.
2-2.
No, 2-2. Oh, delay. I fell for the old delayed strike call. I should have had a conversation with this home plate umpire before. Make sure you say strike very loudly. I was an umpire who had a very emphatic and theatrical strike call. I know you're all going to be very surprised by that.
I'd love to see highlights of your days as an ump.
Oh, it was enjoyable.
Meyer looking. Now backs off and...
Catcher's indifference.
Yes. So
pitcher's indifference, too.
Defensive indifference one way or another.
That's right.
But Fulstrom will get credit for stolen base. Pitchers, catchers, or some other person's indifference or not. But there's 2 out, so doesn't matter all that much if Meyer can get Bauer out. But first base is open. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, off-speed pitch went upstairs. He didn't want to give him a cookie, but he got him to chase.
Instead, Meyer gets his hand in the cookie jar once more and slams it shut. Centennial will have a chance to walk it off when we come back.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
Wash your hands. Scrub them while you sing this song. Wash. Rub your hands and fingers and the places in between. Using soap and water Rinse your guts away, wash your hands. Great job, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now dry.
Wash your hands for 20 seconds, just like Elmo.
Can't believe you're doing this alone.
I've done it before.
I remember. You threw your back out. How you holding up?
Hand me that board.
Nothing wrong with getting help.
I'm good.
I did it when Felicia left.
I'll figure it out.
I know you will, but you don't have to do it alone. That's all I'm saying.
If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence?
Now you need my help.
It can be a real pain sometimes, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Bottom of the 7th just starting. It will be a pinch hitter for Centennial as Nedland is still out there. We'll try to get that pinch hitter for you in a second. That is Reeder.
Do we know who it is? Have you confirmed?
I believe it's Reeder in for Stensrud.
Okay.
And he has a 1-2 count.
Well, player of the game for me so far has been this this pitcher, Carson Nedland. Fantastic.
2-2 the count.
8 strikeouts or 7. He's been fantastic.
I've got him at 9.
9 strikeouts. Okay.
That is Matthew Siegler, I should say, not Reeder. Siegler through the shortstop side for a base hit. So the pinch hitter for Centennial, Siegler, gets the leadoff man aboard, and he also represents the winning run.
Well, he came up real focused. You could see when he was in between innings, he was razor sharp, and that's one of the hardest hit balls, if not the hardest, we've seen from Centennial today. Now they'll play the third baseman Bauer in on the grass. As again, the bottom of the order coming up here for Centennials. Just the 7th hit of the day, or 6th hit of the day for the Cougars. I think they got the hits wrong on the scoreboard.
Melky shows bunt, it goes foul. Melky 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts.
I think it should be 6 for 7 for Centennial and 5 for Anoka, but be that as it may, the leadoff runner aboard here in the 7th for the Cougars.
Another bunt, another foul.
And once again, just like Anoka, yeah, I mean, these coaches obviously know their players way better than we do, but yeah, 2 straight foul bunts, and now you're down in the count 0-2. Do you still have him bunt and risk what happened to Anoka in the top half of the inning? Or do you trust him to put it in play and try to... Oh, interesting. Called a balk before the pitch was issued. What a time for a balk. Moves the runner into scoring position now for Centennial.
We don't see that often. I don't know if we can get another look at that. They have the count up at 1-2, but they'll have to reset it.
I guess it's because he looked over maybe and didn't immediately kind of paused midair. I don't know. Big call.
His foot was on the line. That pitch is high, 1-2. Nedland's foot was on the line, and
Centennial's dugout's coming alive too.
That might have been the reason, Bill, for the balk, because he looked over, and when you're in that windup motion, when your foot's on the line, the stripe, you have to commit. A strikeout for Milky, his 3rd, but Centennial is able to advance the leadoff man as a result of the balk.
And now it rolls it over for the top of the order, so this is where you've got
Calvin Coppersmith, and he wouldn't mind some redemption after being thrown out in the 5th.
He certainly contributed, and they're actually going to intentionally walk him. So 2nd of those we've seen today.
Second baseman Nolan Border.
That will...
Must feel real good when you have the guy in front of you intentionally walked, and then you can come through. You come through in the clutch. We'll see what happens here with Border.
Border 1 for 3. Singled in the first after the intentional walk on Calvin Coppersmith. So runners on first and second, but here's a grounder cut off by the shortstop, and there is a play to first.
Yeah, so what happened on that play, the third baseman again cut in front of the shortstop, made a sliding stop, got up and threw out the runner. Really athletic play by the big Chase Bauer. Kind of hesitated, wanted to go to second, Mike, but decided to instead go to first and get the sure out. So now there's 2 outs in the inning, but runners at second and third. And they're going to once again intentionally walk Giagostino. And just like last time, Mike, Giagostino intentionally walked for Ben Clausen. Clausen got a hit last time in this position. We'll see if he can do it again this time.
In this case, if Clausen gets a hit, that will do it.
Bases are loaded. This time, no one to drive in from second. He just needs to get the guy in from third. It's a little pat on the helmet. No mound visits yet for the Anoka coaching staff as the catcher goes out there. And now, sure enough, now are they going to bring in a reliever or trust Nedlin to get the job done? The manager for the Tornadoes goes out there.
Clausen.
Tegan Mortensen pinch running, meanwhile, for Centennial at first.
Just in case something weird happens, but again, the bases are loaded. The run that matters is over at third with Siegler. Clausen 1 for 3, singled in the fifth, as Bill noted earlier on the play where Coppersmith was thrown out on a great throw by Ned Ved at center, the 8-2 putout. But the bases are loaded here, so all Clausen has to do is just knock it into the outfield, and it's ball game. But 2 out. Hold on to your butts. Here we go.
Now Clausen takes a timeout. Nerves frayed here. Lefty-lefty matchup with the bases loaded and spot in the section. Semis on the line.
First pitch fouled. It's section quarters with double eliminations. So the winner will play in what they call the quarterfinals, but the way they frame it, it is a little strange because it's set up like a quarterfinal, but I know what you meant. I think we all know what you meant. Another foul, 0-2, and that goes off the umpire.
Poor ump gets it again. This time in the shoulder as he tries to walk that off. One hit off his mask. That one tipped back into his sternum. Poor guy. Oh, and his arm, right in his left arm. Ouch.
So he's being checked out.
Good. It's not his strike calling arm though, so that's okay.
It still stings.
Yes, it certainly
I'm guessing
does.
you've had your share of them as an umpire, of deflected balls that bounce off, and there's no padding in your arm area.
I would just duck. I would just get out of the way. I'd scream, you know.
Well, I don't know if you've been in your share of these, Bill, in youth or later on, but no matter when it comes, first round finals, Clausen, have you ever thought about how cool it would be to get that walk-off hit, bases loaded in the bottom seventh?
It must feel incredible, and for Clausen to be up again with runners in scoring position. So important, these at-bats.
Here comes the 0-2. High.
Oof, that had some heat to it, especially because they walked the 3-hitter in front of him twice, intentionally. So he's got to feel like, hey, this is, they don't think I can come through.
The 1-2. Outside. Stopped by the catcher. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jaeger getting in front of it. You don't want a wild pitch now.
You can tell it's been a good, well-pitched game because we're through 7 innings and neither pitcher has had to come out for pitch count.
This one fouled and out of play. Winner will move on to the section quarters. Loser goes to the elimination side of the bracket. So again, no one goes home today, but the winner gets the more favorable path. The 2-2. This one popped up and playable. Bauer's under it. And Anoka escapes the bases loaded jam. We're going to go to extras.
Free baseball.
Bill, I have to apologize in advance, and I'll explain why. First, we will explain that Centennial is changing up their battery. Matthew Sigler on the mound. Meyer done for the day after 7 scoreless innings. Joey Hemmer, his battery mate. But, Bill, I have to apologize. This is the 3rd time I've worked a baseball or softball assignment, and the 3rd straight time I had a couple doubleheaders where a game went to extras. So the extra time, extra inning jinx, hex, has now been placed on me. It used to be on one of our coworkers who would get all the overtime or extra inning games. Apparently, I've inherited that, Bill, so my apologies.
Well, I'm the same way. I'm just texting my very pregnant wife that, hey, I got extras again. So it's anecdotal, but it feels like 4 out of every 5 broadcasts, which just means that Kenton and Ted are picking the right games to broadcast. That's what that means.
So we'll see how this pitching change comes into effect, Bill. The starting pitchers got through 7 scoreless innings. Now you bring in someone else. Again, who knows what will happen as Tackenhorst is leading off. It will be him, Reeder, and Jaeger. But with another pitcher coming in, a reliever, how could that affect the equation?
Yeah, I mean, and we'll see if Anoka rides with their man for one more inning or if he's run out of pitches. And, you know, yeah, often when you get into bullpens, even if you have good pitchers, that's where the game can change. And talk about a pitcher's duel.
Here's a grounder to second. Fielded cleanly, and the first out is recorded. Tackenhorst singled his first time up, but has not reached since. Solid play there by Border. That will bring up Lincoln Reeder, who has reached a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, it's just remarkable. I have never called a game with both starters throwing complete game shutouts and having to go to extra innings as a result. Like, it's they just traded zeros up on that scoreboard, and you know, there's been 11 hits in the game total, 3 errors. Handful of walks and intentional or otherwise, but yeah, we'll have to update us with the runners in scoring position or how many runners have been left on.
Reeder takes a strike.
This guy throwing controlled breaking stuff out of the bullpen, so a different look from Tommy Meyer.
Unofficially, both teams have left 10 runners on base.
That sounds about right.
Here's a golf ball grounder fielded by third, and the throw gets away. Rounding for second is Reeder, and he'll get there on the head-first slide. Another miscue for Centennial, their third.
And Mike, I think the weather really played a factor in that one, because that was an uncharacteristically poor throw from Jack D'Agostino, and then after he's immediately looking down, and I think the ball picked up a lot of dirt, and that led to the wild throw. And they try to get him at second, can't. So now some defensive alignments and switching with a runner on second and one out. But yeah, D'Agostino fielded it cleanly enough, like I said, but it was kind of slow rolling on that dirt, not well hit off the end of the bat, but sometimes that's enough.
And even though the rain has stopped for the most part, it's still slick out there. The dirt has picked up a lot of rain, the grass, it has been off and on showers these last 2 days, so that is going to affect the grip as Jaeger is at the plate, takes the first pitch for a strike with a runner on second. Jaeger has walked twice. And if he reaches, Quam would likely run for him as the courtesy. Another slow grounder to second. That will advance the runner to third, but Jaeger is retired. Out number 2 is recorded.
Border has had so much work to do at second base today. He was playing more up the middle that time, but range to his left pretty successfully. Now 2 outs in the inning, but again for Anoka, Mike, the runner, the go-ahead run, the first run of the game, just 90 feet away. Can they get that clutch hit, or is it going to be the 11th runner left on base?
Anoka sending in a pinch hitter for Jensen. And he takes the first pitch for a strike. That is number 12, Mason Brent. The 0-1. Outside in the dirt, 1-1. You're talking about Border's busy day, Bill. I'm going through my scorecard, and he has been involved.
6, 7 putouts?
He has led 5 of those putouts, and yeah, I think he's got 6 by my count. Swing and a miss, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Border, or Brent rather, regrouping after that swing and a miss. And once again, a Centennial pitcher getting ahead of in the count.
In this case, it's Siegler. In relief of Meyer. Meyer cannot get credit for the win because we are tied. Swing and a miss. Brent goes down. Siegler records his first strikeout, and stop me if you've heard this before, Bill. Anoka strands another runner. Centennial will get another walk-off chance in a moment.
Lino Lakes is the gateway to the metro area, just minutes north of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Conveniently located on I-35W, this growing city still maintains its North Country feel. Lino Lakes is a safe, fun, and affordable community that values its award-winning schools. Outdoor lovers will discover miles of hiking, biking, and water trails. Growing businesses will find premier development opportunities with great freeway visibility and ready to help your businesses grow. Come to live, work, and play in Lino Lakes.
Come to Ham Lake and see how good life can be. Conveniently located only 20 miles north of the Twin Cities on Highway 65, yet Ham Lake has kept its rural charm. Residents of Ham Lake enjoy 1-acre minimum lots, giving you space to live with abundant natural green spaces and recreational activities like boating, fishing, golf, disc golf, camping and playgrounds, and tons of seasonal fun all year round. Ham Lake is home to one of the top school districts with consistent high scores in standardized testing and community ratings. Ham Lake is a business-friendly city and willing to work with businesses and developers of all sizes. Whether you are just starting out or looking to grow, Ham Lake has the business opportunities you've been waiting for. Life in Ham Lake moves a little slower, and that's the way we like it. Ham Lake offers space to live, to grow, and space to relax. Come visit Ham Lake and see for yourself what you are missing. Ham Lake is convenient country living.
Anoka sending in a reliever. Bill and I suspect the pitch count has something to do with that. It's Ethan Duffner. So, Bill, in a way, it's going to be a little frustrating for our two starters because they both pitched 7 scoreless innings, and neither of them will get credit for the win because we're at a tie game, but it goes like that sometimes. So Duffner will try to keep this a scoreless one as Anderson, Hosfield, and Fedor possibly are due up.
Yeah, Carson Nedland was brilliant. 10 strikeouts over 7 shutout innings.
Off speed in the zone, strike 1 to Anderson, who is 0 for 3 today.
Yeah, Anderson has struggled, unlike in the regular season matchup. A couple strikeouts.
Oh, and he gets
Where's
plunked.
that one?
Duffner.
Slow looping curveball. If you're going to get hit by a pitch, Mike, that's the one to get hit by.
I would
lead-off
agree.
runners aboard, crucially. Now we have a pinch runner number 4 coming in.
That will be Riley Johnson. I was just about to talk about Anderson, who hits 250, but it will be Johnson running in place of Anderson, who represents the winning run. And for the second straight inning, Centennial gets the leadoff man aboard. That would represent the game-winning run. This is Hosfield, who is 1 for 3.
Oh, beautiful bunt.
The throw to first looks off. Bill, you wonder, did Dirt, the weather, play in that? Because that throw to first just didn't look clean at all.
Well, it was as poor as the throw that was made in the previous inning on a bunt. That one, it might have had dirt in the initial bunt, but it's in the grass. I'm not sure. He kind of stumbled as he picked it up.
That's probably why the throw was off,
Yeah,
and they
that
rule it
throw-
an error.
Yeah, that throw was way off. And I'm not sure they expected a bunt from the taller Hosfield, but he laid down an absolute beauty, just deadened it right in the grass there.
At first base, number 3.
And it
Tanner
moved the
Peacock.
runner along, so now Centennial first 2 on the board. And boy, if they don't capitalize here, they're gonna be mighty disappointed.
So Dietrich will run at first.
They just had to wait out the starter for 7 innings.
And Ethan Lewis is going to serve as the pinch hitter this time. Lewis pops it up, and Duffner makes the catch. Everyone gets back, but a wasted at bat for Lewis.
Sure was. High pitch, you have to get on top of those and drive the ball down, but that one, he pops up and forward, and the tall Duffner able to just come off the mound, make the catch. Luckily for Centennial, neither runner was way off their base, so no harm, no foul, but it is a wasted out.
Well, Bill,
that was the opposite of the bunt we just saw from Hosfield.
Well, Bill, you're asking if we were going to see any action. We are seeing a lot of it, a lot of first pitch swings.
We're seeing a lot of bunts, a lot of sacrifice bunts, and you know, throws and throwing errors and such, but the conditions are certainly not contributing, or are contributing to the quality of play, I would say.
Siegler taking the first pitch for a strike, takes that one for another strike, an off-speed pitch.
And let's be honest too, you're in extra innings in a playoff game, so no doubt nerves are, the kids are feeling nerves, you know, you kind of feel for them in that way.
Here's the 0-2. Low, Siegler just tapped it to stay alive in this at bat. He singled his last time up and was stranded at third. And Bill, whoever wins this game, the other side is going to look at all the missed opportunities. 21 total runners left on base between the two sides.
100%. Siegler, after coming out in relief, a chance to be a hero right here for Centennial.
Takes that pitch outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
He did a good job in his 1 inning of relief. And he'll no doubt get more if the game continues.
Go ahead run, the winning run at second. That's Riley Johnson. Swing and a miss.
Yeah, just too many for both teams. Too many, and you credit the pitching, but some big strikeouts. So right there, what does Duffner do? But first two get aboard. He gets a bunt, pop out, and then just absolutely blows it by Sigler here with the fastball.
It has been that kind of game. Not a lot of clean 1-2-3s where the side is retired, but you do see the pitchers not get rattled. First pitch swing. This one a high fly to right, and making a running grab is Reeder. So Centennial strands two more, and we're gonna go to the ninth. It's a professional regulation game. Someone's got to break this tie. We'll find out who in a moment. The top of the ninth. Johnson will lead off, and then we'll go back to the top of the lineup. Johnson taking the first pitch for a strike. Bill, we've noted the small ball and the difficulty these two have had bringing runners in this game. According to our stats, neither team has hit a home run all season, so you can't expect too many power hitters, so to speak, the long ball to get it done, and it's showing in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And no one's even reached the warning track. It's been a lot of stuff on the ground, a lot of stuff to the corners and up the middle. And we play on.
We'll play until there's a winner. Johnson, slow grounder to short. The throw to first. Safe! Johnson legs it out for an infield single.
You know, that was like relatively sharply hit, but it just takes so long to get to the shortstop but you know, even though he did nothing wrong, you know, the runners are beating it out.
And that's where the wet field may be coming into play, Bill,
really
because the ball takes a little longer. If it was sunny and dry like it was Monday, that ball moves a little faster. Or you mentioned Northwestern, they've been hosting section games these last couple of weeks. That's a turf field, one of the fastest surfaces out there, rain or sun. Rain or shine is the more common saying, but I think you understand where I'm getting at here. Here's Nedved, the speedster, lays down the bunt. This could be a tough throw to first, and it gets away! Rounding second, heading for third is Johnson. They will try to wave him home. The throw is going to get there long before, and Johnson wisely backs up and lives to run another day, but second and third, runners on for Anoka, Bill, nobody out.
Wow, Mike, Nedved has already reached today with a bunt single, and he lays down another good one here. And once again, the pitcher comes off the mound, gets it, picks it up bare hands, throws it, but the slipperiness of the ball affected it. You could see after the play him wiping off his hands on his pants because he airmailed a throw. And so the 4th error of the game on Centennial now has runners at 2nd and 3rd, and Anoka in the driver's seat here with nobody out.
Another pinch hitter coming in for Anoka. This is Luke DeSheen. Takes the first pitch low for ball 1.
Pretty sure DeSheen was one of their studs on the football team that made it to the state semifinals this year.
DeSheen hitting 190. Anoka, they've had a lot of success across sports. As DeSheen takes that for a strike. You mentioned football, some of the crossovers. You probably heard one of their linemen, or should I say linewomen, I believe the first, if maybe the second, to reach the state tournament, Deborah Ayeni.
Yeah, and they were really good in basketball.
We've got a steal attempt, and the bunt goes foul. Oh, Bill. Had that bunt stayed fair, Anoka's on the board.
No, it was a squeeze. It was a safety squeeze. And wow, very gutsy. You're counting on your player to get contact with the ball here on this safety squeeze. And just went foul, but what a gutsy call here by the Tornadoes on the road.
We'll see if Johnson goes or holds up at third. 1-2 the count, so you risk a strikeout if you bunt foul. We saw that happen earlier to Bruner. DeSheen grounds it to second. They will go for the throw at home, and it gets away. Another error for Centennial, and zooming down home is Nedved. Anoka gets 2 on the board on a couple of infield miscues. Inconceivable.
Defense falling apart for the Cougars here late. Grounded to second, fielded cleanly, but then the throw home is high. It goes to the backstop, and they could not get the second runner crossing, as you see here. It's fielded by Border. He has more time than he thinks, but he throws it high, and ultimately 2 runs come around to score. They might have had a play at the plate on the second one, but didn't work out. 2 errors in the inning, errors number 4 and 5 on the Cougars, and that opens the door for the Tornadoes to come here and steal one, taking advantage of Centennial mistakes and also using brilliant pitching by their starter Carson Nedlin.
So DeSheen, he will be subbed out for Bruner. I believe DeSheen, since first base was open, would he get a hit since they threw home?
No, it'd be a fielder's choice.
It would be a fielder's choice?
Yeah,
okay.
Because he would have been thrown out 4-3 otherwise, but they decided to go home. And I mean, he basically reaches on an error. He reaches on.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear for those keeping track.
Scoring at home.
Because that doesn't happen often.
No. That one low. Yeah.
1-0. This is Fulstrom.
2 runs on 5 hits and 2 errors for Anoka. Centennial with no runs, 7 hits and 5 errors now.
And still nobody out for Anoka, so they may not be done. They already have an insurance run, but the Centennial defense having some wobbles in the later stages. 3 errors now in the last 2 innings. As Fulstrom gets one through for a base hit, Bruner will go to third, and he'll check up there since the ball kind of
dribbled through it.
It dribbled through and then just died out there right beyond the
grass.
infield. So
yeah, the wet grass is a little longer.
You don't want to chance it, is what I'm trying to say, but runners at the corners.
That was relatively hard hit by today's game standards, but it was clean through the infield, and now Anoka again with runners at the corners. They'll lift for a pinch.
Number 18, Caleb Erickson.
Caleb Erickson now running at first.
And Chase Bauer at the plate. Runs scored by Johnson and Nedved. You've got Bruner in for DeSheen at third, Fulstrom at first. Bauer looking to break this one open. Tips it foul for strike 1. Bauer has struck out his last 2 at-bats. 0 for 3. He walked in the 4th. Now this is the top of the 9th, so whatever happens, Centennial still has to come up in the bottom half. And that's why for Siegler, Bill, it's important that he gets Centennial back on track and keeps this within reach.
You know, I don't think it's going to last this long, but darkness could be a factor at some point. No lights here at Centennial, of course.
I think the sunset is past 8 o'clock, so we have another hour. Bauer hits this one to left, deep, and off the wall. This will bring in at least one more run, an RBI double for Bruner, and Anoka whirls their way to a 3-0 lead.
That one, the hardest hit and deepest ball yet today. The runners had to hold up with nobody out to see if it would be caught. Otherwise, that would have scored 2. But that's the power that 6'6" can give you. Bauer with the biggest hit of the day for Anoka as it's all kind of unraveling here for Centennial.
An RBI double for Bauer.
They'll play the left side of the infield in. Well, now everyone is going to be in. They cannot afford to give up any more runs. Each team with 7 hits now in the game.
And if my numbers are right, Bill, that was Bauer's first double of the entire season.
Wow. And what a time for it. I thought he might have left the yard, but it hit off the base
I
of
thought
the
so
fence.
too. It was looking that way. Here's a sharply hit grounder to first. And Tackenhorst is retired on 1 pitch. So the runners stay where they are, but Anoka up 3-0, 1 out. Reeder comes up, and Bill, this is why whenever you see an error, you always wonder what happens, because Centennial making a couple and Anoka pouncing on it, scoring at least 3. Reeder trying to add to it here.
Yeah, I mean, again, 2nd and 3rd, so Centennial not out of the woods yet, but a big first out recorded there.
Runners at 2nd and 3rd. That pitch, good stop by Centennial's catcher, Joey Hemmer, or Fulstrom might have trotted in.
I think it might have hit off the umpire, actually, which kept it from getting
Well,
to the backstop. We'll see. Yeah,
you're right.
Sure enough.
An unofficial
assist to
the umpire. That's not what they teach you in umpire school, but you won't complain about that. Another low pitch, though, 2-0, and Siegler running into some turbulence here in this 9th inning. That one down the middle for a strike. This game going on for 2.5 hours now. This chess match that was a pitcher's duel up until the 9th, and it will be a no decision officially for Tommy Meyer, who pitched 7 shutout innings.
No decision for the Anoka pitcher
Nedland
as well, Carson Nedland. Their reliever in line to get the win if they can hang up.
3-1 the count to Reeder. First base is open. A blooper to right. That will bring in another run. And coming from second is Bauer. He reaches safely a 2-run RBI single. And Anoka blowing this one open.
Unbelievable. You go, what, they strand 11 runners through the first 8 innings, and then here, you know, a blast, a bloop, this one off the handle of the bat, and he just put it over the drawn-in infield. 2 come in to score easily, and now it's 5-0 Tornadoes as they're trying to take all the drama out of this one.
Getting to that 5-0 lead is big because now they have breathing room. And plenty of it. Siegler pitches that one high for ball one.
But Mike, there's no more save opportunity.
Well, Duffner wouldn't be in line for the save. He'd be in line for the
true.
win.
He's in line for the win anyway. That's a joke, folks. But anyway, we're in the bottom. We're in the top of the ninth.
Well, that was
It's
a
been
nice.
long day.
That was a nice save, Bill.
Yeah,
I guess
thank you.
we have a throw to
boy.
first, and that nearly turns into disaster for Centennial.
Yeah, just not their inning. It's been a little bit unlucky. They've had some self-inflicted wounds as well with the 2 errors. Anoka has hit it where they ain't, if you will, and just like that, it's kind of been just little things here, little things there. And a pair of 2-run bursts have led to this 5-0 lead. And this game, it's not going to look like the 0-0 that it was through the first 8.
Centennial coming into this one had won 3 of their last 4. Anoka dropped their last 2 as Jaeger takes that pitch low. 2 balls and a strike. Jaeger has walked twice today. Anoka started the year losing their first game, winning the next 2. They had a 4-game win streak.
It's been up and down for both teams, right?
Right.
Centennial's 10-10, Anoka 9-11.
I suppose you would expect that with a 4-5 matchup.
They're a horse apiece, as the saying goes.
I have never heard of that before, horse apiece.
Yeah. Well, I have the lexicon of an 86-year-old.
I have
A
one of
cultured
a
one, but still.
46-year-old with all my references to the 80s and 90s, as Ted can attest to, and all the others who have worked with me. In my 19 years of broadcasting, 2-2 the count. Jaeger fouled that one.
19 years, wow. You've seen a lot of things. Maybe not all, but you've seen a lot.
That would sum it up.
Glad you didn't have to do this one solo, Mike. That's all I know.
Jaeger hits this one into shallow center. Getting under it for the catch is Centennial for out number 2. Coppersmith making the play.
12, Mason Brent.
Now don't worry, Bill. I've called a lot of games solo. I once did a volleyball game that had a set go to 40-38.
Oh, wow.
And I had to do that one solo. Brent.
I was going to say it's not your first
the
rodeo,
plate.
but then I was wondering if you've ever actually called rodeo, because I haven't. That would be fun.
I have not done rodeo, but I have logged a significant amount of extra innings games over the last week. A couple of
Including that
9 innings.
Woodbury Eastridge one.
Woodbury Eastridge on Monday. That was an 8. I did White Bear Lake and Woodbury softball that went to 9. This game going to 9. Down for a strike, 1 ball, 1 strike. As we're getting a few more raindrops. So we do have about another hour or so of daylight if Centennial is able to rally back. I'm not going to rule that out. That pitch gets away, and advancing to second is Reeder.
Hammer is having to work back there with the breaking balls that are kind of bouncing in. Long inning, and no doubt Siegler just wants to get through it.
But whenever you watch this on TV or online, and if you're watching this all the way through, is in that Woodbury Eastridge game. Eastridge went up 6-2 in the top of the 6th. Woodbury got all 4 runs back on 3 straight hit batters, a walk and 1 hit. I think there were 5 hit batters altogether, including 3 in a row. So Woodbury got 4 runs while recording 1 hit, and that was a single. 3-1 the count to Brent. If that happens here, we'll relinquish our entire schedule as Brent pops this foul. North Metro TV will give up their entire schedule to air the entirety of this game. But in an untimed sport, Bill, you know crazy things can happen.
Yeah, they certainly can. This game's had a variety of interesting twists and turns. really important batter right here.
Full count, 2 out. Runner on second. Reeder goes to third. And Brent takes a walk.
Yeah, just trying to be too fine with it, and he missed and got by Hemmer. Pass ball on him, so really time for Siegler to bear down.
Griffin Johnson will come back after the pinch hitter who came up for him started this. Bill, up until now, Anoka had not sent more than 5 batters to the plate in any inning. Griffin Johnson represents the 10th in the top of the 9th.
That's quite a stat. As Hemmer goes out to talk to Siegler, try to get their signals right. Maybe the pitch comm isn't working or something.
It's funny, Bill, you were joking about if everything would happen in the middle of the game, and it took until the 9th for big storylines to develop.
For almost anything to happen.
Well, I guess when it rains, it pours, right? Is that an apropos saying for today?
I guess, but let's not hope it starts pouring.
For the sake of our equipment and our sanity, I agree.
This game has crawled to a halt here in the 9th inning.
Johnson fouls it for strike 1.
You know, early on, the pitchers, both starters, were really pounding the strike zone. Very few 3-2 pitches, and then it's gotten later and later. And once it's gotten into the bullpens, you know, you've certainly seen that. But this is what can happen.
Another
good
pitch
block
in
by
the dirt.
Hemmer.
Yes, good block.
Gotta give him credit when it's due, and he has, even though he's boxed a couple, he's done a nice job sliding and making those stops. Also a good hockey player. The Hemmer family, Noel and Brandon. And
in the dirt again. 2-1.
Sister Noel, I think, is playing Division I hockey somewhere. Now, with the wet dirt, they've got to go in and dig out the pitcher's mound.
Johnson officially 1 for 3. Again, had a pinch hitter last time up.
D3, I was caught between D3 and D1. She's playing at Gustavus Adolphus, D3 powerhouse.
3-1, low. And now the bases are full of tornadoes.
Yeah, the inning continues, and I think they're going to come in and bring a new pitcher in, or we'll see if it's just a conversation or if he's going to take the baseball from him. It looks like number 6 is indeed going to come in relief.
That will be Jacob Williamson pitching in relief of Siegler. And Bill,
Siegler frustrated as he heads out to right field.
And I don't blame him, but Bill, you and I talked about this. The starters pitching 7 shutout innings, but at the high school level, there is a pitch count, and once you exceed it, you have to come out of the game, and that is a safety measure. That's why it's in place for the high schoolers, because it is quite taxing on your arm, and you don't want to risk an overuse injury, especially at such a young age, but it does create that level of uncertainty when you bring in the relievers, maybe not necessarily when you want to with how the starters were doing, but that is what makes this game so tough to predict in terms of what will happen next.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, you know, Siegler was trying his best. He was let down a little bit by his defense as we near the 3-hour mark for this contest. And, Mike, you said, no way we're going to approach sunset, but I don't know. Bases are still loaded for the Tornadoes. They just need that one out. So, new pitcher in new right-hander to try to get that out. See if we can pull up the baseball hub and get you some other scores from around the area while we wait for the warm-up tosses.
We're approaching 7:15 when you're seeing this game.
Winner of this plays Blaine, who beat Coon Rapids 10-0 in a run rule affair. Cretin-Derham Hall over Woodbury 10-0. Rock Ridge defeated Duluth Denfield 1-0. Chisago Lakes fell to Hermantown 12-8. Forest Lake over Cambridge Isanti 12-2.
And Forest Lake the 2 seed in Section 7, if I'm correct.
Yep, Andover took care of Duluth East 6-0. And Wayzata squeaked one out over Minneapolis Southwest 3-2. As we get back to action here.
Beat Stillwater 3-2 over in Section 4-4A. That section in their quarterfinals today.
All at Northwestern, right?
Yes. First pitch swing, and that gets through for a base hit. So Jake Nedved, after reaching on a bunt that turned into disaster for Centennial, will pick up a couple RBIs and advance to second on the throw home. A 2-run RBI single for Nedved, and Anoka leads 7-0.
It's unbelievable, the timely hitting. First pitch swinging for Nedved. He's really been the catalyst. I'd say offensively the MVP for Anoka today, because he's reached 3 times now on a couple bunt base hits, and then this one past the shortstop, drives in another 2 from, and now they still have runners at second and third with those 2 outs, but the amount of 2-run base hits here for Anoka in this inning have broken this game open. And now Ethan Duffner will have plenty of run support for his final half inning. In the air to center, and underneath it, Coppersmith has it to end the inning. Crooked number put up, though, by Anoka here in the top of the 9th. They lead at 7-0. Last at bats for Centennial here in Circle Pines.
We in Spring Lake Park believe in building a strong and safe community. Our city moves onward and upward while holding on to our traditions and roots. We maintain a small town feel even though we are nestled next to the big city. We believe in being good neighbors and building community with safe neighborhoods. And we believe in citizenry and promote being active both physically and socially. We in Spring Lake Park love to play and believe in having an abundance of parks, playgrounds, and green space so that everyone can take a moment to enjoy the natural beauty that surrounds us. We believe in educating our children well, so we use the most advanced tools of learning to ensure continued success and bright futures. We promote athletics to keep our children fit and healthy and build a sense of teamwork. We in Spring Lake Park believe in providing a good, stable home for industry and small business to thrive. We have a large variety of successful businesses that have found continued success and benefit from excellent visibility off Highway 65. And a large customer base, as we are located only 15 minutes outside of downtown Minneapolis. Come visit us in Spring Lake Park, and you will see why we believe our city is one of a kind.
So for Anoka, Duffner will finish this off. He is in line to get the win unless Centennial scores at least 7. And Bill, if Centennial does go on a big rally, we might be battling darkness, but they're going to look back on the 2 chances they had in the 7th and the 8th with runners on and not able to bring them in. Anoka sent 12 batters to the plate in the top of the 9th. They score 7 and turn this one from a pitcher's duel into a statement win. If Duffner can get through the top of the 9th, it will be the top of the order for Centennial.
Yeah, if this had a headline, a clever headline, it'd be from pitchers duel to almost run rule, as it's 7-0.
You have an affinity for rhyming couplets, I see.
That's right. Well, and Centennial 3 errors in that inning. They've got 7 hits and 6 errors today. So really good play for most of the game, but then once it got into the bullpen, some wildness, all of the walks that they seem to issue came around to hurt them.
High 3-0.
Now Duffner is looking at his hand like, I can't get command of this baseball.
And remember, this is an untimed sport, so you got to get 3 out.
4-pitch walk, not how Anoka wanted to start this 7th inning.
And it's the
9th inning, sorry. I'm losing track of time. Untimed sport indeed. But geez,
this happens with extra innings games on occasion. But Coppersmith reaching base for the 3rd straight time. He draws his 2nd walk. The last one was intentional.
We'll see if they intentionally walk DiAgostino, who's due up next. He's been intentionally walked twice.
Border taking the first pitch for a strike. Border 1 for 4, and we'll see what Border does. Another high pitch.
Well, Duffner, he's a very tall pitcher, and he has a very over-the-top delivery. And so sometimes I think if he doesn't finish his motion, that's how the ball ends up high.
Grounded to short. They get the force at second. The throw to first late.
Not a bad effort. The second baseman had a tough time getting it out of his glove, but a pretty decent 6-4 turn for the fielder's choice.
Now batting the third baseman, Jack DiAgostino.
So DiAgostino comes up. I suspect they will not intentionally walk him.
You see that turn, that was a long throw. They barely got him at second and then still made the effort to try and turn it. He will not be intentionally walked this time.
DiAgostino has reached base and has been intentionally walked twice.
Do you
3
see what
walks
I mean,
altogether.
Mike? When
yes.
Duffner misses, though, he's missing high because he's not able to, from that release point, to get it down.
And while my experience and background knowledge in this sport not as vast as some others, it is rare to see pitchers with that over-the-top delivery, and for a tall figure like Duffner, that can make it harder when you're trying to find the strike zone.
Yeah, a very high release point. That's what I'm going for. What sport do you think you know the best? Out of curiosity.
Well, it's a sport that got me featured at the Minnesota History Center Museum over the school year. That would be basketball.
Okay.
That's a strike, 2 balls, and 1 strike to DiAgostino. The girlhood exhibit wrapping up. Several clips of my coverage over the years were featured. So basketball, a lot of you announcers and viewers who have followed me over the years know I have some footing over there. DiAgostino with a 2-2 count as Duffner relocates that zone. And DiAgostino strikes out. Anoka 1 away from playing Blaine. And I do have to issue a correction. Andover is the 2 seed, Forest Lake the 3. So those two will play each other in the quarterfinals. And if Anoka can get out of this without giving up at least 7 runs, they'll play Blaine in the section quarters.
Mike Peterson with the sometime part-time statistician Mike Peterson with the correction, so we appreciate it.
I consider Mike our utility man. You know how in baseball you have that?
Mm-hmm.
We've got one in Mike Peterson. This is Ben Clausen.
He's not a jack of all trades, he's a Mike of all trades.
Runner goes, and the throw ricochets away. So that will be a stolen base for Border.
You might as well try to advance and get something. Offensively, you want something that can get you a little confidence. But this game, the worm certainly turned in the 9th inning.
So Ben Clausen with a 1-1 count, and if this result holds against Centennial, not eliminated, they would go to the elimination bracket, 2-1, but they would have to win their way out of that side to get into the section final, and that can mean a whole lot of games.
It's a long road to hoe if they fall here.
That finds the corner, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I think if Duffner can, when he can get the ball down with this release point, I think he's tough.
Missed that time, 3-2. Duffner on the season before today, 19 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts, 7 walks, 1.84 ERA.
Pretty good.
Here's the 3-2. Outside, and Centennial has a couple of runners on.
About the only fun thing about this is the fun walk-up song here for Jaden Anderson as he tries to redeem himself after a struggle day.
Jaden Anderson walked his last time up. And there's another example of that high release, sometimes complicating the efforts for Duffner. So the runners will advance to second and third, but Anoka has a 7-run cushion, so there are worse times for that.
And we have a mound visit as they've seen something, and then in fact they're going to bring in a reliever.
And you were noting this, Bill, Duffner struggling to find the zone with that over-the-top delivery, and you don't want to be chancing it here, even though you're up by 7.
Yeah. Bring in your reliever, bring in your closer, and have him lock it down as Duffner. You don't often see the mid-at-bat pitching change, but that's what we've got here as 8 o'clock creeps up on us ever so slowly or quickly.
So Anoka sending in number 30. That is Alex Carbon. And I'm looking at the stats. This would be the first appearance if Carbon can record an out. He has nothing. He has officially, according to our stats, not pitched an inning.
Okay, well.
Again, based on the numbers, sometimes there's a game or two that might be missing from the data, so Carbon has a chance to get on the stat sheet and hold a place for all eternity in Anoka baseball, because
this is the trump card that Anoka has been holding back this year until for the right moment, and that right moment is right now. Kind of a sidewinding delivery from the right side. He'll face the first baseman for Centennial. Trying to close this out. 7 runs on 9 hits and 2 errors.
If you're curious, in that last inning for Anoka, when they sent 12 to the plate, I had them down for 5 hits, 7 runs, and then those errors that we spoke of that really turned this from a tight game into an all-out disaster for Centennial. But they do get a chance to fight another day as Anderson.
Yeah, if you
give
give
the first pitch for ball.
If you give teams, you know, repeated extra outs, even ones that haven't been great with runners in scoring position, eventually they're going to make you pay. It's just the law of averages.
1-1 the count.
And another balk. That's how Centennial will get its first run, is a balk. Well, that umpire has called a couple balks tonight, so you know he's looking for it. As the catcher, Jaeger, will go out and kind of explain why. And I think it's just because he didn't come set. Right? And I think, Mike, that he just didn't come set. So the umpire very definitively calls it. He's clearly looking for it. And so Centennial's on the board.
Both runners advance, so Clausen now at third, 1-1 count to Anderson.
Interesting choice, though, you know, in a playoff game, even with a 7-run lead, to bring on a new pitcher for this final out. You know what I mean, Mike? Like, it's
Here's the 2-1 to Anderson.
Bold call, Con.
3-1. No, 2-2. There's that silent strike call. I guess we're even now. It got you, it got me. This umpire, he's deceptive.
I had the most, like, it wasn't quite Naked Gun umpire style, but it was close.
2-2, 3-2. You mean you didn't give us a full Enrico Palazzo impression?
Not, but
you didn't try to tackle Reggie Jackson?
But that, or sing the national anthem, but that could have been me.
Full count now for Anderson. And the game continues as Anderson walks.
Now batting number 22, Jacob Hosfield.
Bill.
As we hit the 3-hour mark for this one. 7:30 local time.
Bill, Centennial, they sent 6 runners up in the 7th. They've sent 6, or batters I should say, now in the 9th. Anoka had 12 in the top half of the 9th, as laying off that pitch is Hosfield, but it still finds the zone for a strike. Go figure, the 9th inning is when we see the most action on offense.
The 9th inning took as long as the first 8.
And it will extend for at least another at-bat as we get an RBI single for Hosfield, and Centennial still alive.
Yeah, Mike, that just sounded good off the bat as he hits it into right field, driving in a run, 7-2. Don't call it a comeback.
In my case, I have been here for years, 19 to be exact. 19 years on the mic, don't worry, I've not been stuck at this campus for 19 years.
Another balk. Wow. So someone's got to explain how he's got to come set. He's not coming set, and the catcher Yeager is telling him this is what it is, especially with an umpire that's looking for it, like we said. So now runners at second and third. If only the guy at home would call a strike as loud as the guy in the field calls a balk.
So Ethan Lewis, he's up in place of Sanders. 3 balks. That is the most number of balks I have ever seen in a game, Bill. So
same.
In a 3-hour game, you still see something new. Lewis,
it's like when
fouls it.
Mark Wegner called Mark Burley for repeated balks. And that led to the famous Hawk Harrelson line, "What are you doing, Wegner?" But that's maybe a Chicago reference. That's a deep cut.
That is a deep cut.
Very relatable.
Lewis, swing and a miss, 0-2. Although someone from Anoka might be telling that to Carbon with the 3 balks. And you know what? This is how you learn if this is his first outing.
Yeah, I feel bad for the kid. But now he's able to come set, pitch from the windup.
The 0-2. Swing and a miss, and he's out of the game. And Bill, if he has to go through those growing pains, better to do it with a 7-run cushion, as Anoka does close it out. They did give up a couple of runs on balks and an RBI single, but they get the win 7-2 on a 7-run outburst in the 9th. Bill, games go like that sometimes. You get a shutout into extras, and then this happens. What a win for Anoka, though.
Yeah, nice win for them on the road. They move on to face the top seed Blaine in section play. Centennial, brilliant pitching performance from Tommy Meyer, just not enough offense when it counted.
Duffner will get the win. Anoka will play Blaine in the section quarters. Centennial goes to the elimination side of the brackets. We'll see what happens, but if this first round is any indication, this is going to be a whole lot of fun. That will do it for us here at North Metro TV. So for Bill Hupp and the rest of the North Metro TV crew, this is Mike Peden reminding you to help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.